Mecha battle starting from Gundam. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 919 The War Begins. Gallia 4 did not affect the peaceful life of the 25th Fleet. The universe is so big that they can see news of attacks in other places from time to time. For them, it is just a topic of conversation after dinner. Even though they were attacked by Vajra before, it has been so long that it has been washed away by time. But now, the alarm on the island sounded again, announcing that the peaceful life was broken again. The Macros frontier government notified the citizens that an evacuation alert has been issued to the entire ship. Damn, at this time, Art, who was accompanying Yang Hui to spend a post-war holiday, also received an order to return to the team immediately, and Yang Hui, who was with him, looked at Art worriedly. Art, are we going to fight again? Yang Hui asked worriedly. Well, pay attention. Pay attention to safety. Yang Hui hated fighting. Death in fighting made her feel extremely sad and painful, but she knew that she could not stop Art from going to the battlefield, just like Ozma could not stop her dream of being on the stage. Yes, I will. You should go to the shelter. After instructing Yang Hui, Art ran quickly towards the station. Yang Hui looked at Art's back as he left, and her heart felt like it was being grabbed by a big hand. Yang Hui? What are you doing here? Miss Grace? Why are you here? Where is Miss Shirley? Yang Hui had seen Grace before, but she was just amazed why Grace was here, and she didn't see Shirley. I came out to do something and suddenly received an evacuation notice. I happened to see you in a daze here. Then Miss Shirley. Shirley has Lux with her. They should go to the shelter now. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's go to the shelter quickly. Wait. Without waiting for Yang Hui to react, Grace took Yang Hui's hand and followed the crowd to run towards the shelter. While running, Grace did not care about Yang Hui's doubts and struggles. Her body had also undergone biochemical transformation. Yang Hui, an ordinary person, could not break free at all, but... Haha, you saw it, so what? Looking at the people in the crowd who were intentionally or unintentionally approaching Yang Hui, an evil smile flashed across Grace's face. In the universe, the defense line of the Prosmi Corps has been deployed in front of the 25th Fleet. 2/3 of the fleet is in front of the fleet, and 1/3 of the fleet is in the rear of the fleet, with a Macros quarter of the former Unified Army and SMS Company, maintaining a guard formation and moving forward at a slow speed to prevent the enemy from the rear from attacking the 25th Fleet. You are late again. The Skeleton Squad has prepared the attack procedure. Seeing Ald, who is late, Ozma shouted at Lesson. I'm very sorry. Alt admitted his mistake obediently, and did not refuse to accept it because of the sudden incident. This is also the result of training during this period of time. Hey, kid. After Alt sat in the cockpit and closed the hatch, Ozma sent a private communication. I heard that you were with Yang Hui today. Yes. Alt stuttered and answered, looking at Ozma's face like an ice devil. He couldn't help but tremble all over. After the battle, tell me in detail, do you hear me? I'm not going to tell you. Of course, this was Art's inner thought. On the surface, he still answered obediently that he understood. Otherwise, Art really suspected that Ozma might not care about anything and just shoot himself into a sieve. HMPH. Brat? Ozma ended the communication and cursed unhappily, sourly, then regained his composure and issued orders to the team. Skull number 1, notify all aircraft that Commander-in-Chief Yang Hui has approved the use of reaction bombs. Skull number 1, Skull number 2, and Skull number 5 are equipped with armored backpacks and reaction bombs and join the front array. Skull number 3 is equipped with a new sniper backpack and is located behind the team to provide fire support for the vanguard. Skull number 4 is equipped with a new electronic detection backpack and will immediately conduct uninterrupted monitoring of the surrounding situation after the attack. Understood. X4 all aircraft, we were spectators during Gallia 4's attack, so don't let us down this time. But be careful. The newly emerged enemy is very tricky. The existing intelligence has been entered into the tactical data link. Take a look while there is still some time. The same goes for you, Gran Canaria. Understood. X8 Killian, Michael, Luca, Art, 3 members of Pixie Team, and the pilot of the VB6 monster, Canaria burst in. took advantage of the time when the aircraft was transferred to the deck to quickly browse the information of the snake from the tactical data link. This monster is even more terrifying than Vajra. After quickly browsing the intelligence, Michael couldn't help but complain. The speed, strength, firepower, and defense are all above Vajra. The only thing we can relax now is the number. Luca analyzed. According to the battle report from the front, although there is only one big guy code-named Snake King, the number of snake eggs has exceeded 700, and there is also a medium-sized individual that has never been seen. This number is not small at all. Killian said with shame. What? Is the deputy captain scared? Art was actually very nervous, but he liked to use this method to relieve his inner tension and fear. I'm excited. I can kill a few more enemies. Having known Art for such a short time, Killian also understood that this was Art's way of relieving pressure, but he also liked this way, so he retorted, "You are the one, newcomer. Don't think you can be presumptuous in front of the veterans just because you have passed the training. I'll give it back to you, Vice Captain Killian, who was humiliated by the instructor last time. Shut up. I was asking for advice." Ho ha ho ha. Okay. It's our turn to attack. Don't lose your life. Skull number 1, attack. Understood. In the battleship in front, Yang Hui had already driven the Dawn Gundam to the front of the battle line. Seeing the snake army that could be observed with a naked eye getting closer and closer, Yang Hui couldn't help but feel a little nervous, but more excited. This sense of oppression is not much different from the battle at ELS. Graham said excitedly. Yet, this is just a small number. If the number is the same as that of the ELS, there would be no need to fight this battle. Amuro, the supermanatee next to the Dawnbreaker, said. What? Are you scared? Heyman asked Amuro jokingly on the other side of the cabinet MKV. I don't think there's anything more terrifying than the Colonel. Amuro replied calmly. No matter how powerful the enemy is, in his heart, it is not as terrifying as Yang Hui. You have to know that the time when he was Yang Hui's assistant was really a nightmare that would never go away. Oh? So that's how you see me, Amuro? No. No. This is respect. Sai-Xan ha ha ha, Amuro, you don't have to deny it. Among the people Yang Hui has personally led, there is no one who is not afraid of him. My brother and I are two of them. Lyle teased. That's true. It's brutal just thinking about it. I agree. Second. Ha ha ha, it seems I'm still very dignified. Then, Yang Hui's eyes sank. He zoomed in on the optical image on the opposite side and locked onto the medium-sized, body-eating snake that appeared for the first time and swayed in the universe like a python. Starting immediately, the enemy's unknown model is code-named Python. It is preliminarily judged to be battleship level. All ships open fire and carry out the first wave of fire suppression. Chapter 920, Snake Eggs, and Python. The fleet's main guns shone brilliantly, countless energy beams converged into a surging torrent, and missiles were fired in unison, extending towards the army of the snake, like a curtain. Boom 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 boom. The distance of thousands of kilometers was shortened in the blink of an eye by the fierce artillery fire. The dazzling light and the bursting fire added a splendid, vivid and gorgeous scenery to the lonely and boundless universe. All bullets hit. Although everyone heard this exciting report, they did not dare to celebrate now, and took it for granted that they had won. In the battle with ELS, they had learned a full lesson. Sure enough, the next second, countless scarlet rays broke through the blockade of the fire, like a series of poisonous spikes, piercing the array of the Promised Legion. Enemy artillery fire. GN force field deployed. The emerald green GN force field was deployed instantly, and the scarlet spike rain fell on the solid force field barrier, splashing ripples. GN force field is stable, GN particles consume 2%. High energy reaction detected, energy level reaches battleship class main gun. MIS troops spread out. GN force field output at full power. All ships prepare for impact defense. The order was issued, the emerald green GN force field shone even brighter, and the translucent wall barrier became thicker. The MIS troops quickly made judgments and dodged according to the location of the high energy source found by the radar detection system and the direction of our fleet. As soon as the order was executed, more violent scarlet energy rays completely tore apart the blockade of firelight, like a heavy fist hitting the thick GN force field, but fortunately it could only cause some turbulence, just like scraping off some gravel and dust on the wall after the impact. GN force field is stable, GN particles consumed 32%, recharging time 3 minutes. Ms unit damage rate 3%. According to calculations, the enemy damage rate in the first round of fire suppression, 5%. What? XN. Although no one thought it was so easy to kill Snake, they were originally just tentative fire output to test more data of Snake, but they didn't expect that the fleet's main guns plus countless missiles would only cause such minor damage. Detected that some kind of biological energy field has been opened in front of the enemy. Optical camera image zoomed in. This is. The distance is too far, and the naked eye can't see clearly. You can only vaguely see that the array of Snake is a little gray. If you don't zoom in, you will think it's just smoke caused by the explosion. Only by zooming in can you see clearly that the existence similar to the smoke screen is not smoke, but dense and tiny scales, and these scales are all from the battleship class, Python. The body that was originally covered with scales is now bare. The high-energy reaction appears again, the second wave of bombardment is coming. In the optical image, the Python opened its bloody mouth, and the unknown energy gathered in the air into a scarlet ball of light, ready to go. Keep the GN force field stable, charge the main gun, and load all the missile launchers with reaction bombs. Understood. The energy used by the opponent is still unknown. The firepower of Snake and Python has obtained enough data. Now it is necessary to test the bearing capacity of the unknown biological force field. The opponent's artillery fire once again fell on the GN force field, and also failed to cause effective damage to the GN force field. This time, just as the enemy's artillery energy dissipated, the GN force field was immediately removed, and the main gun flashing with the glory of destruction once again roared angrily. At the same time, all the missile launchers fired at the same time, and one reaction bomb after another moved forward at high speed under the cover of the glory. Boom boom boom. This time, people clearly saw the brilliant energy cannons bombarding the smoke and dust composed of scales. Countless tiny scales gradually disappeared in the destructive energy, but soon new scales would regenerate on the body of the Python, and then fill in the lost gaps, going back and forth between dissipation and rebirth until the energy of the main gun weakened and dissipated. The next second, the reaction bomb that was slightly behind arrived, and the violent flames that broke through the smoke and dust composed of scales in an instant continued to spread, and swallowed up the Snake and Python along the way. All the reaction bombs hit. The enemy damage rate is 37%. Very good. The reaction bombs can still work, which is excellent news for the Promised Legion. Reload the reaction bombs, keep suppressing the artillery fire while moving forward at a medium speed. All MIS troops will attack, break through the enemy's defense, and carry out a mopping up operation. Understood. XN broke through the opponent's barrier, and the Dawn Gundam led the aces to take the lead, crossing the distance between each other at the fastest speed, like a sharp saber, piercing into the bloody meat. Damn, with this number, the threat is simply exponentially increasing. Yang Hui cursed and drove the Dawn Gundam back and forth in the dense energy rays. He finally approached a Snake, beheaded it with a sword, and immediately left the original place. The next second, countless energy rays covered the previous position. The GN field equipped with MIS can resist the energy rays of Snake, but with this number, it's really a case of ants biting elephants. Graham also seized the opportunity to cut off the claws of a Snake on the other side, and then Yulin from the back fired an armor-piercing bullet into its body from the broken hole of the left claw, and then flew out from the broken hole of the right claw. Graham, Yulin, Setsuna, go try the Python. Yang Hui ordered. The intelligence on the Snake had been almost obtained at this time. The Snake, which was a miscellaneous soldier or mass-produced, did not pose much threat except for its number. So their target should be the Python that appeared for the first time in the completely unknown Snake King. Understood. XN Nook Gundam ELS retreated directly into the green light circle behind it, and the next second it jumped out from the top of a Python, firing 2 guns in succession, which only splashed ripples on the surface of the Python. There was an invisible film 1 meter away from the surface of the Python, blocking the beam shooting of a Gundam ELS. Well, the unknown biological force field still exists after all the scales are detached, so try this. Setsuna muttered to himself expressionlessly, and the two guns in his hands turned into silver liquid and squirmed, and soon turned into two high-frequency vibrating swords shining with cold light, with a fold crystal inlaid on the hilt. Swish! Puff! The high-frequency vibration sword pierced through the invisible biological force field like a hot knife cutting tofu, and sank into the body of the python, splashing purple blood. It worked. Setsuna. Back off. Originally, Setsuna wanted to increase the results of the battle by extending the wound from here all the way to the head of the python, but after hearing Yang Hui's reminder, Setsuna did not dare to hesitate, and quickly drove the Gundam ELS, drew out the two swords and retreated. The next second, his pupils contracted, and he immediately retreated into the quantum leap channel and left the original place. Chapter 921, hit the snake at its most vulnerable part. At the moment when a Gundam ELS thrust the sword into the body of Python, while screaming, the tip of Python's tail suddenly grew a terrifying spike, which came over like lightning, leaving no doubt that this blow could destroy your Gundam ELS in one blow. Although a Gundam ELS retreated into the quantum leap channel to avoid the blow, it was not safe, because the tail spikes of Python were aimed at it at this time, and all the spikes were separated from the body, approaching with smoke and dust. A Gundam ELS once again turned the sword in his hand into a beam rifle, retreating and dodging while shooting away all the rapidly approaching spikes, but the speed of the spikes was too fast, and the aftermath of the last spike's explosion also blew a Gundam ELS away for a long distance. Preliminary judgment is that it has the power of an anti-ship missile. Setsuna endured the pain of the shock wave and recorded this precious data. Snake of the body didn't intend to give him a chance to rest. As soon as he stabilized his body, countless scarlet rays surrounded a Gundam ELS. The distance between the two sides no longer supported a Gundam ELS to enter the quantum leap system to avoid. Fortunately, the Healing Angel Gundam and the Prison Angel Gundam appeared on the left and right of a Gundam ELS in time. The GN force field was running at full power, and a Gundam ELS shared a lot of firepower. Don't be distracted, Setsuna. After defending against a wave of saturation coverage and removing the GN force field, the GN cannons on the shoulders of the Healing Angel opened fire at the same time, destroying several snake eggs and hitting the middle of a python. The fierce firepower failed to break through the defense of the biological force field. Tisk, such a big output can't break that kind of force field. It's really tricky. T-Iria was very dissatisfied with this result. Although the Healing Angel abandoned the heavy armor of the German Angel and improved its mobility, its output far exceeded that of the former German Angel. T-Iria was still a heavy firepower support pilot. Although it was not the most powerful firepower, it was definitely not weak. However, it failed to achieve success. It couldn't even break the biological force field of a battleship class Python. T-Iria was very unhappy. Don't jump to conclusions so early, T-Iria. As soon as the voice fell, dozens of energy beams fell on the body of the python, and flesh and blood bloomed instantly, as if the biological force field that blocked the attack of the Healing Angel did not exist at all. Alleluia. Demon Angel, destroy the target. The Demon Angel rushed over and transformed into a misform when it arrived beside the python. The two huge composite weapons in his hands flashed with cold light, and slashed at the broken parts of the Angel of Destruction and the Prison Heaven mission one by one. The two cold lights formed a cross in the universe and completely cut off the python. Since it is a snake, there must be a 7-inch weakness, right? The energy of the biological force field is about 15% weaker than other places. The severed python stopped any movement after screaming and twisting in pain. Alleluia couldn't help but say, "Is this a lucky coincidence?" Lyle teased while controlling the shield-type GN Super Dragoon to resist the surrounding energy rays. Tisk, so long-winded. T-Iria cursed angrily, and at the same time recorded this data and uploaded it to the fleet's Veda submachine database. The enemy's invisible biological force field also has an upper limit, and it has been tested. This is an exciting information for the Promise Caller. On the other side, Dawn Gundam, Flag Gundam, and Luna Gundam were also besieging a python, and they also thought of the possible weakness of hitting the snake at its weakest point, but their effective weapons were not as powerful as the GN cannon, and it was difficult to break through the invisible biological force field for a while. At this time, they received the data records uploaded by T-Iria, and made a prompt decision. Yulin. Understood. GN Photon Destruction Cannon System activated. The GN Super Dragoons flying around gathered on the long-range sniper rifle in the hands of Luna Gundam. At the same time, Luna Gundam took down a heavy energy clip from its back and pressed it on the handle of the gun. After a short period of energy storage, the brilliant energy burst out with a roar and fiercely hit a Python at its weakest point. The output of the GN Photon Destroyer cannon is twice as high as that of the normal GN cannon. In order to shorten the charging time and improve the safety of the Luna Gundam, it uses the energy pod to assist in charging. The Python was hit without any action. The biological force field that had previously made people helpless was broken in a very short time. The destructive energy torrent did not stop, and directly hit the Python's body and penetrated it until it fell on another Python in a straight line. One Python was cut off at the 7-inch position, but the second Python was safe and sound. Can it really be safe and sound? Just when the energy of the Luna Gundam SGN Photon Destroyer cannon was exhausted, a torrent of moon-white energy immediately hit the body of the second Python. The only folding GN Super Dragoon of the Dawn Gundam was also combined on the double guns that were closed together at this moment, and the wings behind it also exuded the light of the moon. The combined moonlight cannon carried by the Dawn Gundam also showed its ferocious fangs for the first time. There was no gap between it and the Luna Gundam. The perfect cooperation left the second Python no chance to recover or dodge. Fortunately, we prepared the microwave energy storage cabin in advance. This distance would not allow the Prosme to charge. As Yang Hui spoke, the Dawn Gundam retracted its guns, and an energy pod with arcs leaping fell off the double guns. The attacks of the snake eggs followed one after another, but Bit had already formed a golden ball around the Dawn Gundam, blocking the attack of the energy beam. The golden light dissipated, and the light green thin lines flew and entangled in the neck gaps of several snake eggs. Although they could not be directly cut off, as the wings of the Dawn Gundam danced, the taut thin lines threw these snake eggs to the same position. The double swords of the Flag Gundam were unsheathed, and they flashed a few times between the snake eggs thrown in front of him, and several snake eggs lost their claws and heads. Graham, Yolan, let's go and touch the big one. For now, the data of snake eggs and Pythons has been collected almost completely, and the only thing left is the huge Snake King in the center of the array, which is still unknown. As the three strongest people, they naturally have to shoulder this important task. As for the other snake eggs and Pythons, their weaknesses and coping methods are already known, so they can be handed over to others to deal with. Understood. X2 will open a path for you, Kira. Yes, Atheron. The Eternal Freedom Gundam and the Immortal Justice Gundam came to the front of the three machines on the left and right, and the multiple locking system was activated. The colorful cannons were used again, and the external missile cabins attached to the body roared at the same time, opening up a clean and tidy path for the Dawn Gundam, Flag Gundam, and Luna Gundam. However, this is not the end. Although the road has been opened, it is also closing, so. Connective Kira. Exception. Connective Char. X2 exception. Connective Setsuna. X4 exception. Chapter 922, Snake King. Dozens of meteors of various colors dragged gorgeous trails into the passage opened by the colorful cannons, tearing the two sides of the passage apart. Every time they shuttled back and forth, several or dozens of snake eggs would lose their lives, and even the Python could only die in the northwest. All ships maintain fire suppression. Don't waste this opportunity. Fire. Fire without hesitation. Due to the chaos caused by the mist troops in the snake array, as the Python was gradually killed, the scales in front of the array became fewer and fewer, and the biological force field weakened rapidly. Many places had already had loopholes and could no longer withstand the fleet's artillery fire. Under the cover of the crowd, Dawn Gundam, Flag Gundam, and Luna Gundam charged straight towards the Snake King in the center. It's really big. When they came to the side of the Snake King, the 20-meter-long Dawn Gundam, Flag Gundam, and Luna Gundam were as small as ants in front of it. Only when you stand in front of it in person can you feel the heavy sense of oppression. Yulin. Understood. The micro-moonlight cannon of the Dawn Gundam and the GN photon destruction cannon of the Luna Gundam reloaded the energy compartment. After a short period of energy storage, two energy torrents containing a breath of destruction, one white and one red, bombarded the same point, but The expected destruction did not happen. Although it was invisible to the naked eye, it could detect that the biological force field, which was 5 times stronger than that of the Python, easily blocked the double bombardment. Damn it! The Moonlight Cannon and the GN Photon Destroyer Cannon can't penetrate it. What kind of monster is this? Yang Hui couldn't help but curse. The combined power of the Dawn Gundam and Luna Gundam was no less powerful than the White Tiger class shipborne Moonlight Cannon, but it still failed to break through the Snake King's bio-force field. And there is no corresponding detection equipment, so it is impossible to detect the decay rate of the opponent's bio-force field. Yulin's expression also became quite heavy. The double bombardment failed to break through. The only thing left was to see if the high-yield reaction bombs and MDE bombs could work, or Graham, fire all the remaining MDE missiles on you at the same location. Yang Hui instructed. Okay. Where is the 7-inch mark? With its appearance, who knows where the 7-inch mark is? Lock on the position we just attacked. Yang Hui cursed angrily. As expected, the complete form of the Snake King should also be a snake. A giant snake that is more than 10 times larger than the Python must also have a 7-inch mark, but this snake has coiled into a ball. Who can tell where its 7-inch mark is? Understood. The Flag Gundam stopped in front of the Dawn Gundam and the Luna Gundam, and the missile launch pods on its body were opened. Countless micro-missiles carrying MDE warheads were launched, all accurately landing at the location of the artillery bombardment just now. If this scene can be recorded and played back slowly for observation, it can be found that the location where each MDE warhead exploded is closer to the body of the Snake King. At this moment, the Snake King, who had been motionless, suddenly let out a headache-inducing roar. It worked. Let's spread out. The Snake King responded, which meant their attack was not completely useless. Yang Hui planned to pursue the two of them, but the next second, his pupils shrank and he immediately gave instructions to dodge. The huge and sturdy body began to wriggle, and the wide snake scales slightly lifted up, revealing the scene under the scales. It was a densely packed red crystal, some in the shape of cones, and some in the shape of spheres. The cones sprayed out, and the spheres shot out energy rays. For a moment, the Snake King was surrounded by only scarlet. Damn it! Retreat. With such fierce firepower, Yang Hui had no confidence that he could resist or completely dodge it. The Dawn Gundam immediately sprayed out golden bits desperately, and a series of light curtains protected the Dawn Gundam, but it was so fragile that it collapsed after 2 or 3 hits, and could only delay the intensive attack for 1 or 2 seconds. Energy intensity increased by 5%. Angle correction, positive 16 degrees. S15 blocking time 1.78 seconds, additional, 5 spikes and 3 rays will be missed on the left. Yang Hui's brain began to make complex calculations again, taking into account all the surrounding situations, which position can be completely blocked by the light curtain composed of bits, which area cannot be completely defended and needs shooting assistance, which direction is too late to meet the attack and must be dodged. Even so, it is impossible to completely avoid all the achievements. Dozens of rays fell on the surface of the Dawn Gundam, and several spikes also collided with the wings. The light wings have been ramped by bits, so the crystals exploded before touching the surface of the wings. Only the shock wave caused damage, and the rays were blocked by the pinpoint defense system covering the body surface, and failed to cause effective damage. But even so, the violent impact from all directions also made Yang Hui very uncomfortable. Even though the ISC system absorbed a lot of the impact force, Yang Hui still felt the pain of internal collision. Yulin. Graham. Report the situation. Yang Hui quickly checked the condition of the machine. Although no direct damage was caused, the huge impact still damaged the machine. The Glorious transmitter system was offline, and the X generator that generated bits was also damaged. The energy transmission rate dropped by 30%, and the pinpoint defense system lost 51%. The recharge time is 15 minutes. The people are fine, but the machine is in trouble. I am fine too, but the machine is seriously damaged. Flag Gundam and Luna Gundam also showed their magical powers in the saturated firepower coverage, protecting themselves not very safely, gathering around Dawn Gundam, and retreating to the rear together. Flag Gundam lost a leg and an arm, and the left wing was also missing. Only about 15% of the whole body armor was still intact. Luna Gundam was better than Flag Gundam, But all the GN Super Dragoons were destroyed, only half of the head was left, the left leg disappeared, and the long-range sniper rifle in the hand was also lost. This monster is a hedgehog. You can't get close to it. Graham cursed angrily, and Yang Hui and Yulin also felt the same way. They had dealt with saturation fire coverage before, and before that, they could deal with it easily with the strength of their machines and top-notch driving skills. But now, they finally understood what real saturation fire coverage was. There was really no gap left for them. All the gaps for evasion were created by their own abilities. Even so, they could not completely resist or dodge. Just one wave of attack caused their machines to suffer heavy damage. Yang Hui. You guys retreat quickly. Setsuna, the Dylandi brothers, Aleluja, Tieria, Cruz, Kira, Aslan and other nearby aces also noticed the situation of the three people, and quickly gave up the enemies in front of them and gathered around the three people to form a defensive formation. Cruzit, Char, Lala, Heyman, escort us to retreat, continue fighting. Setsuna, Tieria, this is the position where we just concentrated our attack, give it a hard blow. After the attack, retreat immediately. The others provide fire cover. We have just seen the hope of breaking the biological force field on the surface of the Snake King. Giving up at this time is definitely not Yang Hui's style. Among all the people on the scene, Setsuna's Gundam ELS and Tieria's Healing Angel have the strongest concentrated firepower. It's already so embarrassed, we can't just let it go. The road has been paved for more than half, and there is no reason to give up halfway. Understood. XN. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 923 When it rains, it pours. Cruz, Char, Lara Singh, and Hammond immediately drove their mechas to escort the damaged Dawn Gundam, Flag Gundam, and Luna Gundam to retreat in the direction of the fleet. The others immediately dispersed and guarded the Gundam ELS and the Healing Gundam. GN Particles, Compress, Release. The huge claws on the shoulders of the Healing Gundam opened, and the GN particles condensed to the peak, roaring, and the energy torrent that was no weaker than the Moonlight Cannon and the GN Photon Destruction Cannon bombarded the locked position. Little by little, the biological force field protecting the Snake King became thinner and thinner. Finally, under the desperate bombardment, the energy torrent was like Achilles' spear, finally breaking through the shield of Els, and fell on the body of the Snake King, and the flesh and blood burst out, and the purple blood splashed and scattered. Aya. Finally, it was severely damaged. Snake King let out another piercing scream. The scales that had not yet closed were raised to the highest point again. The crystal inside was shining again. The energy beam was ready to go, and the cone crystal was trembling. Don't even think about it. Riser system activated, Tramsam. Riser. The feather-like ELS behind the Gundam ELS left the body and rotated in a cylinder in front of the Gundam ELS. The two swords in its hands were spliced together, and a brilliant beam of light burst out and hit the rotating cylinder. The energy of the beam was amplified dozens of times, and the torrent of energy turned into a sharp sword that pierced through the gap in the flesh. But what was shocking was that the edge of the sword failed to pierce from the other side, but was blocked from the inside by the intact biological force field on the other side. Gundam ELS moved its arm upwards, hoping to use the huge sword in its hand to split Snake King in two, but then, something even more shocking happened to everyone. The blade that pierced the body of the Snake King did not move as expected. Instead, it was blocked by the biological force fields above, below, and to the left and right of the gap, unable to move at all. Cut it off. Setsuna pushed the control lever to the bottom with all his strength, but the arm of the Gundam ELS remained still with a creaking sound, unable to move at all. Gradually, the energy of the beam sword began to weaken, revealing a hideous hole through which one could see the scenery on the other side of the universe, but the attack of the Gundam ELS failed. The beam sword that was powerful enough to cut an asteroid in half failed to kill the target it had pierced for the first time. Back off. Thanks to the reminders and lessons of Yang Hui, Yulin, and Graham, everyone present did not dare to stop and back off immediately. The next second, countless crystal cones and energy rays shot out from under the scales of the Snake King, once again dyeing the universe scarlet. Fortunately, This time they retreated quickly enough, and with more people and more firepower, the crystal cones were all shot down before they could reach them. The energy beams were either dodged or blocked by the GN force field or the pinpoint defense system, and they did not have such a big effect. This is simply unreasonable. The most optimistic Lyle cursed directly. He never thought that the saying no matter how strong the barrier is, it can be broken from the inside was broken. The biological force field of the Snake King actually has a high defense strength inside and outside, which can block the attack of the Transm Riser from the inside, and the biological force field around the hole can also block the movement of the beam blade, as if. Can the energy of this biological force field be controlled? Everyone couldn't help but think of the same guess at the same time. The energy of the biological force field was controlled by the Snake King. At that moment, it strengthened the edge of the hole and blocked the beam blade of the Transm Riser. But for them, this is just an appetizer, and the more terrifying things are still to come. The Snake King's body moved, and the coiled body began to wriggle, stretching out from a planet-like posture, revealing the scene in the middle. It was a color like the sun, emitting endless scarlet brilliance. The core just floated in the center of the twisting snake body, and the Snake King's coiled and winding body twisted around the core. It was at this moment that everyone saw clearly that the place they destroyed was near the tail. As the scarlet core made a plop and plop sound like a heart, energy flowed into the whole body bit by bit, and the gaps between the scales emitted a scarlet mist, and the hideous hole they destroyed began to heal. Not only that, more than a dozen pythons took the initiative to approach the Snake King's head. The Snake King opened his bloody mouth and feasted on it. After swallowing the pythons, the healing speed of the wound accelerated at a speed visible to the naked eye. This is really unreasonable. The body has a biological force field with extremely high defense power, and it also has the ability to heal itself. Devouring its own kind can speed up the healing process. If it gets close, it can also provide full coverage firepower in the true sense. How should such an enemy be dealt with? Yang Hui, who has safely returned to the promise, also looked as if his face was sinking. He thought he had already looked up to the body-devouring snake, but he still underestimated the opponent's strength. The ability it has shown now is enough to make the promise core drink a pot, not to mention whether it has other abilities. For example, a main gun with unimaginable power? Even the python has a main gun similar to the breath, so the Snake King should not have one. It was at this time that Baki Lulu's emergency communication brought worse news. Yang Hui, there are fold jumping reactions behind the fleet, and there are a lot of them. It's Vajra. Damn it. It was raining all night, and the worst situation still happened. The body-devouring snake in front was enough for the Promise Corps to deal with all their strength, and Vajra also came to join in the fun. It was really a wolf in front and a tiger behind. Natal, notify the entire fleet to unlock the permission to use the Killing class, Genesis. Understood. As the main carrier, the White Tiger class is equipped with a powerful strategic weapon such as the Moonlight Cannon. As the flagship, the Killing class naturally cannot be just a power bank for the White Tiger class. Each Killing class is equipped with a Genesis that is as powerful as a fortress cannon. This is also one of the biggest trump cards of the Promise Corps and the final means of decisive battle. Under normal circumstances, it will never be used. On the one hand, the power of the gamma ray burst is indeed huge, and it is also the nemesis of all life, but it is also a weapon that hurts the enemy by 1,000 and hurts itself by 800. The impact of the gamma ray burst on the environment is really too great. Not to mention the Earth, even in the universe, the area covered by the gamma ray burst will become a forbidden zone for life. On the other hand, the conditions for using Genesis itself are also very harsh. The nuclear energy released in an instant will cause disturbances in the electromagnetic field, gravitational field, etc., and the unbearable high temperature will paralyze the Killing class for a while. You must know that the ship-borne Genesis is not a fortress cannon, and the prism can be replaced at any time. At the same time, there is also a terrible concern, that is, whether Snake of the Body has the ability to evolve as quickly as Vajra? After enduring a Genesis, will Vajra evolve to the point where it cannot be harmed by a gamma ray burst? Chapter 924, The Glory of Genesis. Damn Vajra, you're joining in the fun at this time. Art, who was in the rear formation, cursed. Didn't you just complain that you didn't have the chance to play? Michael teased. Shut up. Michael. Even if I want to play, I won't do it this way. Art cursed back. I support your point of view. Michael was sweating at this time. The Skeleton Squad, Pixie Squad, and the former New Unified Army, who were originally in the rear formation, were all complaining that they had no chance to show their skills this time. They could only watch the Prosmi Corps in front of them fighting heartily. But soon after the battle began, they fell silent because the horror shown by the snake frightened them. Now, they finally have a chance to show their skills, but no one can laugh. The battle in front has fallen into a stalemate. Even after the Snake King made a move, the situation in the front took a sharp turn for the worse and fell into a huge disadvantage. The rear formation, which was supposed to go to the front to support the crisis in the front, ushered in a new enemy. I have to say that Commander Yang Hui's deployment is perfect. Did he expect Vajra to take the opportunity to attack our rear? Grant asked in confusion. It's meaningless to think about this now. Let's solve the crisis in front of us. Ozma said loudly in the communication channel, repel Vajra's attack as soon as possible so that we can support the fleet in front faster. Repel? That's right. Everyone who heard this smiled bitterly, and then ignited their fighting spirit, dispelling the idea of just blocking Vajra's attack. We can't just block it, we have to repel it. Beep beep. Notice to the whole army, our army is about to use Genesis. All friendly troops on the Ray please leave the Ray area immediately. Repeat, all friendly troops on the Ray leave the Ray area immediately. Genesis? What is that? The Skeleton Squad, Pixie Squad and the original New Unified Army, who were about to launch a charge with great confidence, were stunned for a moment. They had never heard of what Genesis was. What are you still standing there for? Get out of the beam quickly, do you want to die? It was not until a member of the Promise Corps passed by them and reminded them that they came back to their senses. This. I understand. The Promise Corps teachings made them fully learn what it means to obey orders. Although they were still curious about what Genesis was and why those powerful instructors took it so seriously, they still followed and withdrew from the area covered by the beam and came to a safe position. Until they saw that the perfect defense formation was separated from the center, and the Killing class mothership that had been protected in the center opened its doors to welcome the enemy. The catapult decks on both sides of the Killing class pulled outward at a greater distance, and the location of the catapult decks began to expand and stretch, eventually forming a conical reflective prism, and the area below the battleship that usually looked like a burden was also a reflective prism, but it was unfolded in a flat mirror shape with a dark hole in the center. Rays clear. Genesis enters launch program, 60 seconds, 50 seconds, 40 seconds. There was no energy gathering, no brilliance shining, and all the Killing class had a welcoming avenue open in front of them, welcoming the enemy to come as a guest. However, neither Snake of the Body nor Vajra were human. Humans might think that the other party must have a conspiracy for such an abnormal behavior, but they would also worry about missing this great opportunity. Although Snake of the Body and Vajra were both intelligent, their instincts as beasts were stronger. The sense of threat and suffocation that surrounded their hearts made them all become restless, and even took the initiative to retreat, wanting to escape from the direction where the welcoming avenue extended. But would the Killing class let this group of creatures succeed? Target locked, Snake King, Genesis, launch. The next second, the slender gamma ray carrying the majestic nuclear explosion energy fell on the pointed cone reflective prism, and then dispersed and reflected from the pointed cone reflective prism to the flat mirror. The brilliance of the gamma ray burst bloomed in the universe, surging and rushing. Under the threat of suffocation and death, countless huge scales of the Snake King were wrapped in scarlet energy mist, separated from the body, and spliced together in front of him to form a thick wall. For the first time, the biological force field with color made the wall thicker. Boom! Several rays of creation light hit the scale wall, and the creation light destroyed the wall. The creation light hit the Snake King. Ah! The piercing screams resounded throughout the universe again, even more piercing and more shrill. Everyone couldn't help but cover their ears and endure the tingling in their brains. Some people even had bright red blood flowing from their 7 orifices. In the brilliant creation light, the Snake King's body was torn, annihilated, expanded, and about to break, but the core was beating faster and faster. The scarlet energy turned from mist into streams and rivers, pouring into the Snake King's body, causing the Snake King's body to constantly cycle through destruction and rebirth. Vajra was not so lucky. The moment the flood of the light of creation submerged them, they all exploded, turned into debris, turned into ashes, and finally even the ashes ceased to exist. Zzz. The light of creation began to weaken. The reflective prisms of each killing class melted and twisted due to the high temperature. The red fire of the high temperature could not be dissipated under the ice of the universe. The arcs kept jumping, and there were signs of collapse. And on the bridge of the killing class, only the red light of the alarm was still flashing, and all electronic equipment was temporarily out of order. Report the situation. All systems are offline, starting the backup system, and the startup is successful. The main system was paralyzed, and the backup system was started at the moment, and the bridge lit up again, but the lights were still dim. Only the operation panels at various positions were restarted, and the picture was still unstable. Energy overload, forced cooling system activated. 30% of the ship systems cannot be restored, weapon systems are completely offline, restart will take 4 minutes. Calculating Genesis effect. Snake King is alive. What? At this moment, they were terrified. The warriors who had experienced countless life and death battles were terrified. Whether it was the radar detection system, the optical camera, or even the naked eye, they could see that Snake King, who was hit by several Genesis, was not completely destroyed at this moment. At this moment, the Snake King was very miserable. The scaly walls had disappeared, and there was no intact place on the huge body. Even many places were seriously damaged. The core beat inside became very weak, and the brilliance was very dim. If you can observe closely, you can see that dense cracks appeared on the intact core. But, at least it is still alive in the extremely powerful gamma ray burst. Ms. Troops carry out assault operations. We must keep it here forever. There was no need to hesitate, think, or discuss. All the fleet commanders hurriedly issued the same order at this moment. The Snake King, which Shivan Genesis could not destroy directly, must be completely destroyed at this opportunity, and it must not be given a chance to recover. No. It's trying to escape. Kill it quickly. It's too late. All the Mizes, no matter how far or near, no matter what is blocking them in front, charged towards the Snake King without hesitation, even at the cost of their lives, to keep the Snake King. But they were helpless, they were unwilling, and the remaining snakes also launched a life-threatening charge towards the Promised Legion, using their own flesh and blood to block the Snake King. And the Snake King, in the midst of everyone's eyes, retreated into the fold jump channel and disappeared. Chapter 925, First Formal Contact, A Pitiful Victory. Damn it. Yang Hui punched the armrest of the seat. The Dawn Gundam was the least damaged, so it only underwent the simplest emergency repairs before rushing out. As a result, as soon as it attacked, it saw the Snake King survive under the glory of Genesis. Its mind was filled with one thought, that is, it must not let this Snake King leave alive. But helpless and unwilling, the Snake Egg and Python blocked it at all costs, causing the Promise Corps to lose this excellent opportunity. They could only watch the Snake King retreat into the fold jump channel and disappear from sight. Yang Hui, Snake Eggs, and Pythons have also begun to retreat. Hunting. As many as you can leave behind. Understood. And through this battle, the people of the Promise Corps fully realized the huge threat of snakes. No matter whether the snakes that attacked them this time were all or not, and how many of the snakes they killed accounted for, as long as they could kill one, it would not only weaken the enemy's combat power, but also vent their resentment and anger. What's the situation of Vajra in the rear? Yang Hui asked about the situation in the rear while driving the Dawn Gundam to chase the retreating snakes. Vajra was also a big threat. At first, he was full of confidence in Genesis. After all, gamma ray bursts are the nemesis of all life. The killing effect directly acts on cells and is a killer move that cannot be defended. But now, with the precedent of Snake King, Yang Hui lost this confidence. 80% of the Vajra army was wiped out by Genesis, and the remaining remnants have begun to retreat. Because Genesis was used before the battle, there were no casualties in the rear fleet. No need to pursue, let them guard the rear of the fleet. For Snake, Yang Hui adopted a strategy of annihilation without leaving any room. After all, this is a clear enemy and there is no possibility of any communication. But Vajra is different. Vajra is an ally that can be won over. There is no need to adopt extreme strategies, as long as it can be repelled. Understood. The battle soon came to an end. The Promise Corps had its first formal confrontation with Snake, and its first formal contact with a real enemy of Promise Fortress. It ended with a victory of the Promise Corps and Promise Fortress. Although it was a victory, it was also a bitter victory. The damage rate of the fleet in the front reached 12%, and the casualties of the MIS troops reached 15%. Just looking at the numbers, it is not large, and it is not even comparable to the war with ELS. But it should be clear that in the war with ELS, almost all the soldiers who died in the war had their consciousness preserved by ELS after death because they had brain quantum waves. Now they continue to live with the bodies created by ELS for them. Only a few people who cannot live without brain quantum waves died. And this time, if you die, you are really dead. Moreover, the combat power of the Promise Corps now far exceeds that of the past. They even used Genesis, one of the final trump cards, and several Genesis hit at the same time, but they still failed to kill a Snake King. If this is not a miserable victory, what is it? The list of casualties has been counted. In the resident office of the main island of the 25th Fleet, Yang Hui took the list of casualties handed over by Baki Lulu with a gloomy face, and read it carefully from top to bottom. He wanted to remember every name on it in his mind. Where is the list of seriously injured? After spending an hour reading the list of casualties, Yang Hui asked. Here. Baki Lulu handed another list to Yang Hui, and reported, the medical department of the Legion has been fully operational. The treatment order is arranged according to the severity of the wounded. It is expected that all of them will recover within a week. On the warships of the Promised Legion, the ZC class is equipped with 2 medical cabins, the White Tiger class is equipped with 4, and the Killing class is equipped with 8. At this time, all medical cabins are in operation 24 hours a day, fully treating the wounded. Similarly, Yang Hui did not miss any name. He did not know everyone in the Promised Legion, but on this list of seriously injured, he saw many familiar names. For example, Christina Mackenzie and her husband Barnard Watsman, who were brought up by himself. Gabriel Carlasha of the Cyclops team. Zhang Wufei of the Gundam W World. The 3 sisters of Orb, Mayura Rabat, Ashiki Caldwell, and Julie Wunian. Yang Hui's eldest nephew Andrei Smirnov. Caruso of the Martian Pirates and Yuan Figong of the Super Hunters. Norba Zino, Chad Chadden, and Dante Maguro of the Tekadon. Gilbert and Dalton, the Loyal Knights of Cornelia. Orpheus Fonts and Jeremiah Godbald of the 12 Zodiacs. This is only the list of seriously injured, not the complete list of injured. In this battle, except for the top-level ace pilots, everyone is more or less injured. Looking at the silent Yang Hui, Baki Lulu was silent and quietly left the office. Sister Natal, Yang Hui. Coincidentally, Baki Lulu just closed the door of the office and saw Lakis and Shirley who came with him. Let him be alone. Baki Lulu said. I know. Lakis nodded when he heard it. This battle, are the casualties serious? Shirley asked in a low voice. In her eyes, Yang Hui has always been synonymous with confidence. He is confident in everything he does. He should continue to stand in front of everyone with full confidence instead of locking himself in the room. Yet, Baki Lulu nodded seriously, we still underestimated the enemy. Whether it is Yang Hui or other members of the Promise Corps, although they all know that the difficulty of this mission is very high and the enemies they have to face are also very dangerous, they still don't take it seriously. After all, more than half of the members of the Promise Corps have never participated in a formal world mission. Even though they know that the aces have encountered many setbacks in the mission world, they have successfully completed the mission and completed it very well. Subconsciously, they still think that this mission is just like that. The same is true for members who often participate in world missions, especially those who have participated in 1 or 2 world missions with a team. They grow very quickly, so quickly that they are arrogant. Although it is not visible on the surface, they subconsciously regard the strong men of the Legion and the enemies they meet in the mission world as their previous opponents and can be easily solved. My condolences. Shirley felt a thorn in her heart, and was very uncomfortable. For the first time, she truly felt the cruelty of war, and how great the danger was this time. The extremely confident Yang Hui and others suffered a huge blow. I'm worried about him. Shirley said. She was very worried about Yang Hui's current state and wanted to go in to comfort him. No, let him be alone for a while. Baki Lulu and Lakis shook their heads at the same time and said to Shirley. Shirley and Yang Hui have not been together officially yet, and the time they have spent together is also short, so they don't understand Yang Hui. Yang Hui will not be knocked down by such a degree of blow. He just needs to be alone and quiet, and he will be able to adjust quickly. He doesn't need this kind of comfort. Sure enough, after a while, the door of the office was opened. Seeing Baki, Lulu, Lakis and Shirley waiting at the door, Yang Hui was stunned for a moment, and soon he was relieved. Let's go, accompany me to the hospital to see them. Chapter 926 The Truth. Yang Hui took the three women to the hospital of the 25th Regiment. The seriously injured and critically ill were treated in the battleship's medical cabin. Members with less serious injuries were arranged to be treated in the hospital of the 25th Regiment. Those with minor injuries could be treated directly in the hospital, and those with serious injuries could also be cared for in the hospital. After the medical cabin was vacant, they would return to the battleship for treatment. I've told you many times not to take care of me. Are you looking down on me? Aren't we in the same team? Ding Yi, you really need to change this bad habit. The battlefield is not a place for you to talk about love. And Carmen, you and Caruso are too impatient. Tisk, I know. Just as he walked to the first ward, he heard the voices inside before he went in. It was Ding Yi, Wolfgang, Torre and Carmen from the Super Hunter K9 world. Ding Yi and Torre were lying on the bed. Ding Yi's face was wrapped in bandages, revealing only his eyes and breathing nose and mouth. Torre was hanging his two legs wrapped in plaster, lying on the bed without saying a word. Wolfgang and Carmen were not unscathed either. Their arms were wrapped in bandages and hung in front of their chests. Carmen, you really need to change your habits. This is a hospital. You can't make loud noises. Yang Hui pushed the door and walked in. Wolfgang and the other four wanted to salute despite their injuries. Commander. At ease, it's private now, and it's not convenient for you. Yang Hui stopped them immediately. After all, the injured hand was the right hand, and the one lying in bed couldn't get up. Yes. X and the four people present, including Yu Wenfigong and Caruso who were receiving treatment in the warship's treatment cabin, all respected Yang Hui very much. Yu Wenfigong, who was eccentric, and Caruso, who was impulsive and irritable, were just good kids in front of Yang Hui. The cold and proud Torre would also put away his pride completely. Commander, our team suffered heavy losses in this battle. As the captain of the team, I have an unshirkable responsibility. I don't know why Yang Hui appeared in the hospital, but Wolfgang first took the mistakes of the team members on himself. Although their team was also a problem team and everyone had their own problems, as the captain of the team, he had to take this responsibility in the hands of all the team members, and even two of them were in danger of death. It's not like that. Commander, it's my fault, I was too impulsive. Carmen hurriedly defended Wolfgang. In private, Carmen's personality may make outsiders think that she is not convinced by Wolfgang as the captain, but the members of the entire team are still very convinced by Wolfgang. If it weren't for me, the team formation would not be in chaos, and my brother and Ding Yi would not be injured because of protecting me. Yu Wen is also because of me. I don't need you to take the blame for me, Wolfgang. I know where my problem is, and I will take my own responsibility. It's not like that. Wolfgang is here, this is my own fault, not you. Okay. Yang Hui raised his hand to stop the four people from taking responsibility for each other. Am I so unkind in your eyes? Do you have to go to the hospital to pursue the responsibility? Don't dare. The four people bowed their heads in shame. The result of this battle is not something you four can bear, and it's not just you four who made mistakes. Including me, everyone is responsible, so take good care of your injuries and strive to return to the team as soon as possible. Yang Hui said to the four people. Yes, Commander. X4 Wolfgang, review the situation carefully, find out the problem, solve the problem, and continue to improve yourself. Yes, Commander. Yang Hui continued to the next ward, walked through the entire building, visited every injured member, encouraged them, and then left the hospital with the three women. At this time, Baki Lulu left first on the grounds of military affairs, and Lux also said that she had something to deal with and left, leaving only Shirley Lu alone to accompany Yang Hui. Where are we going next? Shirley Lu asked Yang Hui. Why did you come out with me? Are you well? Go back to the hospital. No, the doctor said that I have recovered well and I need to go out more. Just be happy, you are the first man who can let me accompany you to relax. Griffith Park. Okay. Shirley Lu. What's wrong? Shirley Lu looked at Yang Hui, and she was surprised by her hesitation. If one day, the person you trust the most betrays you, or is using you from the beginning, what will you do? Yang Hui asked Shirley. Yang Hui wanted to bring up this topic with Shirley many times, but he never made up his mind. In addition, he was really busy on weekdays and often encountered emergencies, so he never brought it up. Now, Yang Hui felt that it was time. The double threat of Snake and Vajra was too great. Grace's matter was a time bomb for Shirley. Instead of Shirley finding out and feeling discouraged, it would be better for him to be the bad guy. No, you and Lux will not betray me. Although you are also using me, I am willing. Shirley leaned gently on Yang Hui's shoulder and said with a smile. Shirley knew very well that Yang Hui and Lux did not approach her for no reason. After participating in the experiment of singing and fold, she was more certain of this. But, even so, what? Yang Hui and Lux never thought of hurting herself, and all their feelings for her were real. Moreover, Shirley also saw something. Yang Hui, Lakis, and the entire Promise Corps were extraordinary. Her intuition told her that this Corps must be extraordinary and would never be limited to Colony Fleet. If she wanted to join it and be with Yang Hui, she needed to play her role, just like the other sisters. Not us. Yang Hui continued to ask. What do you mean? Shirley was stunned for a moment, and looked at Yang Hui fiercely. You mean Grace? What happened to her? Look for yourself. Yang Hui took out the pad, called out a top-secret document, and showed it to Shirley. This is it. Shirley looked at Yang Hui in disbelief after only reading half of it. Her eyes only said one sentence, tell me this is fake. These are all true. My people paid a heavy price. How could it be? Shirley dropped the pad in her hand to the ground, her eyes gradually lost their spirit, and tears flowed along the edge of her eye sockets. At the monument in Griffith Park, Leland Hu looked at Grace in disbelief. Brella Stern was hiding behind the monument, waiting for Grace's order. Ms. Grace, I don't know. Believe me, Lan Hu, you are very talented and will definitely become a big star on par with Shirley. I know you value feelings and I am very grateful to Mr. Elmo Kretinik, the purple-haired uncle, Leland Hu's agent, full name Elmo Kretinik, direct transliteration, but you must know that the resources I have are far beyond his reach. You should know the importance of resources to stars. But, Miss Shirley, I am confident that I can take good care of both of you, and my resources are enough for both of you, Lan Hu, you. Grace. At this time, Shirley's voice came, and she looked at Grace with a sad face, and Yang Hui followed Shirley, looking at Grace with murderous eyes. Chapter 927 You are arrested. Time goes back to 15 minutes ago. Griffith Park, Leland Hu's favorite place to go, although it is a park ranked 25th, but there are few people coming on weekdays, especially at dusk. Leland Hu likes to come here alone at dusk to enjoy the afterglow and breeze. It is also here that she can sing without any scruples, without an audience, without a stage, without accompaniment, just a person's venting of boredom and a wish for a better future. Now, Leland Hu has an audience. Grace stood aside and listened quietly to Leland Hu singing. It was a song she was very familiar with. She hated the first person who sang this song in front of her, and was full of regret and pity. Let's fly, even if it's a star sleeping in the evening, to find the seeds of true love, to open up the infinite frontier, please search for me, this is a gentle ocean, pa. Grace started to applaud after Leland Hu opened her eyes and stopped singing. On the surface, she showed a calm appreciation, but in her heart, she was very surprised. Leland Hu's singing voice was indeed very nice and could easily win the favor of others. From the perspective of a professional agent, Leland Hu's pure singing voice was not inferior to Shirley Liu, and even improved after Lux's guidance. Most importantly, Grace glanced at the cute green creature beside Leland Hu. Of course, she knew it. It was the larva of Vajra. It could make the larva of Vajra listen attentively and form an intimate relationship with the larva of Vajra. This was enough to prove her guess. In addition, while Leland Hu was singing, the instrument hidden in her arms had completed the data collection. There were even examination records found in the hospital, Leland Hu's origin. Combining many aspects, Grace was able to determine that Leland Hu was her, or the little queen they had been looking for. The fairy plan could be abandoned directly. With a little queen, the artificially created star had no meaning to exist. It's a great performance, Lan Hu. Grace said to Leland Hu gently. Thank you for your compliment, Miss Grace. Grace is Shirley's agent, and is absolutely the most professional in evaluation. Li Lanhui is naturally very happy to get her recognition. At least it proves that her dream is not wrong and her efforts are not in vain. Lanhui, I have a suggestion. I hope you can agree. Don't be so polite, Miss Grace. I want to be your agent. Of course. Li Lanhui also has a good impression of Grace. On the one hand, it is because of the relationship between Grace and Shirley, and on the other hand, it is because of Grace's positive comments on her, so Li Lanhui planned to agree directly. Who knew that Grace would throw a pair of trump bombs directly, which shocked Li Lanhui. Fortunately, she shut up in time and did not agree. But Miss Grace, you are Miss Shirley Lu's agent. If you become my agent, what will happen to Miss Shirley Lu? I can take care of both of you at the same time. Besides, Shirley Lu is already very famous. She doesn't need so many resources to increase her popularity. She can choose freely. In this way, I can allocate more resources to you. But Grace's proposal was full of temptation. After all, she was Shirley Lu's agent. It can be said that she made Galaxy Fairy famous. The resources in her hands are not on the same level as those in the hands of Li Lanhui's agent now. If a star wants to be famous, he needs more resources and opportunities to support him. Otherwise, no matter how capable a person is, he will not be able to become famous. But Li Lanhui is a person who values feelings, whether it is Shirley Lu or her current agent Emmer. Although Li Lanhui still admires Shirley Lu and regards Shirley Lu as her goal, after more contact, she regards Shirley Lu as a precious friend. If she agrees to Grace's suggestion, wouldn't it be a betrayal of her friendship with Shirley Lu? And there's her current agent, Emor. If Emor hadn't found her after the Miss Macros pageant, she might have given up her dream of becoming a singer after her failure on stage. It was Emor who disregarded danger to ask Ozma to allow Li Lanhui to realize her dream. It was also Emor who desperately tried to get resources for her when Li Lanhui was not famous at all. If she had agreed to Grace's suggestion, then what would have been Emor's contribution? Believe me, Lanhui, you are very talented and will definitely become a big star on par with Shirley. I know you value relationships and I am very grateful to Mr. Elmo, the purple-haired uncle, Li Lanhui's agent, full name Elmo Kretinik, direct transliteration, but you must know that the resources I have are far beyond his reach. You should know the importance of resources to stars. But, Miss Shirley, I am confident that I can take good care of both of you, and my resources are enough for both of you, Lanhui, you. Grace. At this time, Shirley's voice came, and she looked at Grace with a sad face, while Yang Hui followed Shirley, looking at Grace with murderous eyes. Miss Shirley. Li Lanhui just wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into, and didn't dare to face Shirley. Lanhui. Come here. Shirley said to Li Lanhui seriously. Miss Shirley. Come here. Yes. Li Lanhui walked towards Shirley with her head down. She felt that Shirley would definitely reprimand her severely and then sever their relationship. I'm sorry, Miss Shirley. Li Lanhui timidly walked in front of Shirley and was about to apologize, but Shirley grabbed her wrist and took her behind her. We'll talk about this later. Shirley glanced at Li Lanhui, then glared at Grace in grief and anger. Grace. Shirley, you are still so willful. Grace held her face and said to Shirley helplessly, it was almost successful. Is what Yang Hui said true? Shirley questioned Grace. What are you talking about? I'm just your prop, and Galaxy. Grace glanced at Yang Hui with a calm expression that was not expected at all. I am surprised that you chose to tell him. Grace knew Shirley very well. If she didn't believe Yang Hui's words, she would never come to question her face to face. The moment Shirley appeared here, it meant that Shirley had believed it. Your expression is different from what you said, Grace. You are under arrest. Chapter 928, Capturing Grace. Grace, you are under arrest. Just as the words fell, Brella Stern, who had been hiding in the dark, jumped out and stood in front of Grace to protect her, pointing a gun at Yang Hui, waiting for Grace's order. On the other side, fully armed soldiers continued to walk out of the shadows around them, surrounding Grace and Brella Stern. The dark muzzles of the guns made them know Brella Stern dared not act rashly alone. Arrest me? Ha. Grace laughed, laughing happily and arrogantly. This was also the first time she showed this attitude in front of outsiders, which frightened Li Lanhui to tremble. What is going on? Mr. Yang Hui? Miss Shirley Lu? Li Lanhui asked fearfully behind Shirley Lu. She really didn't understand what was going on now. Aren't Shirley Lu and Grace very close? Isn't Grace Shirley Lu's agent? Why did Yang Hui send so many people to arrest Grace? Why does Grace have such a crazy side? I'll explain it to you later. You and Shirley should step back first. Yang Hui took a few steps forward and blocked Shirley and Li Lanho behind him. No. Shirley wiped the tears from her eyes and stepped forward firmly to stand shoulder to shoulder with Yang Hui. I want to watch. Shirley. Yang Hui, don't forget that I'm the Galaxy Fairy. I'm the queen of the galaxy. I have my pride. I want to watch her final ending. Shirley said firmly. Haha, that's hilarious, Shirley. The originally passionate declaration was extremely funny in Grace's eyes. You are Fairy 9, a piece of trash I picked up from the slums. If it weren't for my training, you would have starved to death in the sewer. What about the queen of the galaxy? You're just a prop that was made. How could it be? Li Lanho covered her mouth in disbelief after hearing this, staring at Shirley's back with wide eyes. Shirley Lu trembled all over when she heard that. Her eyes moved towards Yang Hui in fear. They happened to meet each other's eyes. She didn't look at him with fear and disdain. Instead, she looked at him with incomparable tenderness and trust. So, what? What did you say? Grace, who was in a frenzy, stopped mocking and looked at Shirley Lu with a gloomy face. That's right, Grace. If you hadn't taken me away from that place and given me everything I have now, I would no longer be the me I once gave you. I am Galaxy Fairy, Shirley Lu. Not your tool. Shirley Lu kept feeling that gentle gaze, supporting her fragile body and heart, and shouted to welcome the future. Tisk, you are so arrogant. You are just... There is no point in deceiving yourself, Grace. Don't you know Shirley Lu's identity? Yang Hui held Shirley Lu's hand and became her support. He said to Grace coldly. I don't understand what you mean. Cosmo Nature, a research project on the treatment and prevention of type V infections, the paper was published by the project leader of the 117th Survey Fleet, Mount Nome, Shirley's grandmother. Tisk, you really found it. Grace gritted her teeth and glared at Yang Hui. There's more. Yang Hui sneered and continued to narrate the intelligence he and crews had found. Mount Nome's children lost all contact after the destruction of the 117th Survey Fleet, and you just happened to find Shirley struggling to survive in the slums. Do I need to explain it more clearly? Pa. Grace laughed, a bitter smile, but also a sinister smile. She laughed and clapped, which made people feel particularly uncomfortable. Great, I didn't expect that. I underestimated you. You were able to find this matter. My parents, it's really you. Shirley looked at Grace with hateful eyes. Yes, it's me. No, it should be us. Grace opened her arms, as if to promote her unparalleled great achievement. Mount Nome, the sister of the wind singer Sarah Nome, her bloodline is very valuable for research. The power of singing, the power of fold waves. It's the most beautiful power in the world. What a pity. As she spoke, Grace looked at Shirley with disgust. Mao is very different from her sister. She has no talent at all. Even her direct bloodline is useless. But there is no way. This is the only body we can study. The elderly can't do it, and adults can't do it. Maybe it will be inherited and manifested in the next generation. So you killed Shirley's parents, let her live on the streets, and then picked her up at the right time. That was very hard. Dr. Mao's intuition is really sharp. She actually noticed our plan and hid the couple. It took us a lot of effort to find them. Grace. At this moment, Shirley Lu no longer felt any sadness for Grace, only hatred, a fire of hatred that was difficult to extinguish. Don't worry. Yang Hui squeezed Shirley Lu's hand to calm her down. Yang Hui. They will definitely pay the price for what they did. Well, I believe you. Haha, Mr. Yang Hui, bragging is not a good habit. Grace sneered. Although she was surrounded by many people, she was not nervous at all. Arrest me? Can you do it? Yang Hui, who had always had a cold face, finally raised the corner of his mouth. Implants consciousness network? Is it really invincible? What do you mean? The sneer on Grace's face disappeared, and she became extremely solemn. After their investigation of Yang Hui was never a person who shot without a purpose, but their confidence in implant was higher than their cognition of Yang Hui. The two judgments conflicted, causing Grace's connected consciousness network to quarrel for a while, and her head was buzzing like a noisy market with hundreds of people bargaining at the same time. Stop arguing. Grace's face turned ugly as she cursed, because the noisy quarrel was replaced by the sound of sizzling electricity. Gradually, the quarrel disappeared completely, and the consciousness space became pitch black. You surrender, Grace, you can't escape, Yang Hui said to Grace. To be honest, Yang Hui didn't want Grace to continue living, but she had very important information in her mind, one of which was the location of the Consciousness Network Center. If the exact location could not be found, it would be useless even if Grace was killed. If Grace died completely, someone else would take Grace's place, and they would completely lose their traces. Of course, Yang Hui didn't think Grace would tell the information she knew so easily, so Bang Bang Brillistern, who was guarding in front of Grace, suddenly moved and shot directly at Shirley Lu beside Yang Hui, and at the same time threw a flash bomb from the back and pushed Grace away. Yang Hui also quickly pulled out his pistol and fired back, while pushing Shirley Lu away. Two sounds of blood and flesh bursting were heard, and bloody flowers exploded on Yang Hui's right shoulder. Chapter 929 The Kitten Guarding Food. Yang Hui. Are you okay? The dazzling light of the flash bomb faded, and Shirley opened her eyes. Her sight happened to fall on Yang Hui's right shoulder. The blood-red flowers stung Shirley's eyes. It's all hold up, how can it be okay? Yang Hui asked Shirley with a twitch in his mouth. Hurry up, I'll go to the hospital with you. It's okay, this little injury is nothing. Yang Hui's eyes twitched. Although it hurt, this level of injury was really nothing to Yang Hui. The reason why he said this was just to make a joke to ease Shirley's tension. Who knew that he would make things worse and make Shirley even more nervous? This was also Yang Hui's fault. Shirley was not Wang, Lux and the others. She didn't know Yang Hui that well and didn't hear that he was just joking. But, if they were, they wouldn't ask such questions, right? But it's okay. Yang Hui shook his head and turned to look in the direction of Brillistern and Grace, but he couldn't find them. On the right side, near the grove, several fully armed operatives had fallen to the ground. Commander. The other personnel did not immediately launch a pursuit, but surrounded Yang Hui to protect him. Chase, don't let them get away. Yang Hui ordered. Yes. The operation personnel left a small team to protect the safety of Yang Hui, Shirley Lu and Li Lanhua, and the rest of the people chased in the direction where Grace and Brillistern fled. Under their encirclement, Brillistern not only injured Yang Hui, but also escaped from their encirclement with people so easily. This is simply a great shame. Yang Hui, go to the hospital. Shirley Lu no longer cares about Grace. She only cares about Yang Hui's injuries. Looking at the wound that is bleeding, her heart seems to be pinched by a big hand. Mr. Yang Hui, Miss Shirley Lu. Li Lanhua is still confused. She doesn't know what happened. She only knows that Grace seems to be a bad person. She killed Shirley Lu's parents. She doesn't know anything else, including the reason and purpose. Moreover, Li Lanhua also thinks that it is you who caused all this to happen. If it weren't for her singing, Grace would not have found her, and everything that just happened wouldn't have happened here today. Well, let's go. People have been sent to chase them, so Yang Hui naturally has no need to wait here all the time. Although your injuries are not serious, you still need to be treated. Lanhua, follow them to the military base first. I have something to talk to you about. Yang Hui said to Li Lanhua again. Now that he has completely confronted Grace and the others, the subsequent plans must be accelerated. Li Lanhua may become the most important part of the plan, and he also needs to have a good chat with her. Okay, Mr. Yang Hui. Li Lanhua didn't know what to do at this time. On the one hand, she felt guilty about Yang Hui and Shirley Lu, and on the other hand, it was the first time she encountered such a thing. She simply listened to Yang Hui's instructions and waited obediently. She believed that Yang Hui and Shirley Lu would not harm her. Leaving two people behind, the others were all sent to protect Li Lanhua to the military base. After all, Grace's target was still Li Lanhua, so more people were sent to protect her to prevent Grace from making a comeback. It was just a simple gunshot wound, and it was a penetrating wound. It would be fine if it was bandaged to stop the bleeding, but... Puff, stop laughing. Yang Hui was furious and yelled at Shirley. Puff, ha ha ha. Shirley couldn't help herself when she saw Yang Hui's furious look, and she bent over with laughter while holding her stomach. Due to the previous war, the 1st General Hospital of the 25th Fleet was surrounded by the Promise Corps. The entire hospital ward was occupied by members of the Promise Corps, which made the doctors and nurses who were not very busy on weekdays all overloaded. Originally, the doctors and nurses would not complain. On the one hand, their salaries were still very high, and treating the wounded was their job. On the other hand, the patients lying on the beds were heroes who protected them, and they would not have any resistance to treating their injuries. However, Commander-in-Chief, please be more careful on weekdays. We are very busy now. Even if you don't pay attention to your own safety, please don't increase our workload at this time. This was the doctor's complaint to Yang Hui. Tisk, I don't know who just acted like a kitten protecting its food. Yang Hui glanced at Shirley and complained. It is worth mentioning that the doctor who examined and bandaged Yang Hui was a female doctor, and she was the most beautiful girl in the first general hospital. She was young, beautiful, and capable, and she was definitely a goddess. In Yang Hui's opinion, it was just a normal complaint, but in Shirley's ears, it sounded like a resentful concern, which made Shirley explode. She and the doctor were at loggerheads from beginning to end. If she didn't know how to do physical examinations and wound bandaging, she might not let the doctor touch Yang Hui. I didn't. Shirley blushed and said proudly, obviously, yes, it's obviously that doctor who is not a good person at first glance. I was watching you for looks to prevent you from making mistakes. Yang Hui rolled his eyes when he heard this, but, the Queen of Pride is pretty cute. Yang Hui, what are you going to do with Lan Hui? Shirley asked suddenly. Dispose? Why should I dispose of Lan Hui? The sudden question confused Yang Hui. Don't you want to use Lan Hui's singing? Shirley asked. So in your eyes, I am the kind of person who takes advantage of little girls and does whatever it takes to achieve my goal. Aren't you? Shirley puffed out her chest confidently. Let me assist those shameful. Stop. Yang Hui knew that Shirley was going to talk nonsense, so he interrupted her immediately to prove his innocence, not to mention that I asked for your consent before the test. I don't think there's anything shameful about you cooperating with the experiment. Where's not shameful? You have to change into those shameful clothes, and you have to stick weird things all over your body, and sing in front of so many cameras. Yang Hui's mouth twitched, and his complaining spirit was about to explode. In order to facilitate the recording of various data, Shirley and Lux need to wear special test clothes when assisting in the singing and fold wave experiments. They are tied and covered with sensors. At the same time, sensors are attached to the places that are not covered by the clothes. In order to record more detailed data, there must be a lot of recording equipment. But Yang Hui doesn't think that tight test clothes are more exposed than Shirley's stage makeup during concerts. Besides, you, a big star who dares to sing in front of thousands of people and countless cameras, would care about the recording equipment in the laboratory? Tell me, what do you want to do to Lan Hui? Shirley asked. She should be confused about what happened today. We need to explain it to her, otherwise, you may not be friends anymore. Hearing this, Shirley was silent and acquiesced to this reason. She is not the same as she was originally. Because of Lan Hui's rise, her illness, and Grace's betrayal, she was discouraged and even planned to give up singing. Now she has the encouragement of Lux and the support of Yang Hui. Grace's betrayal did not make her lose everything. She also knows that Grace's purpose is not pure, so she is not frustrated by Lan Hui. Moreover, Lan Hui is a very important part of the next plan. Lan Hui's singing is necessary for us to communicate with Vajra, so. At this point, Shirley's expression dimmed a lot. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 930 The Bare Truth. Yang Hui knew that the last sentence would definitely have an impact on Shirley Lu, so he kept observing her expression. Seeing that she looked gloomy, he continued to explain. This is also to save you, Shirley Lu. Huh? Save me? Shirley Lu suddenly looked up at Yang Hui. Yes. Yang Hui nodded seriously. Type V infection is a disease caused by infection with Vajra bacteria. According to the research results of your grandmother, Dr. Maunam, and Lan Hui's mother, Dr. Langsimed, Vajra bacteria are actually also a kind of Vajra, but smaller, as small as bacteria, and are also controlled by the Queen. As long as we can reach a consensus with the Queen of Vajra, we can eliminate the harm caused by Vajra bacteria to the human body. Shirley Lu slowly lowered her head, Her face flushed, and she kept muttering, Who wants you to save me? The words to comfort Shirley Lu could have ended here, but what Yang Hui wanted was not only the present, but also the long-term future, so Yang Hui did not stop and told Shirley Lu everything. Lan Hui is special. She is currently the only person who can perfectly coexist with Vajra bacteria. Why? And, isn't Lan Hui's surname Li? Why is her mother? Wait a moment. When we get back to the base, I will tell you everything in detail. Yang Hui said. It would be too troublesome to tell Shirley Lu now and Li Lan Hui later. It would be easier to tell them both at the same time. Okay, I understand. Shirley Lu certainly would not make a fuss. Anyway, she could not wait for long, so she did not ask any more questions. Soon, the two of them took a car back to the base and met Li Lan Hui in a lounge. Also in the lounge was Li Lan Hui's brother Ozma. Commander-in-Chief. Ozma saluted Yang Hui. Although he had too many questions to ask, he still had to be polite and disciplined. Mr. Yang Hui, Miss Shirley Lu. Li Lan Hui also stood up nervously to greet Yang Hui and Shirley Lu. At ease. Yang Hui waved his hand and asked the two to sit down and relax. Sit down. You are here. No need to ask someone to call you. Yes. The brother and sister sat down, and Yang Hui and Shirley Lu sat opposite them. First, Yang Hui told Li Lan Hui and Ozma what happened today, as well as Grace's true identity and true face. How could it be? Miss Grace actually. Thank you very much, Commander-in-Chief. Li Lan Hui couldn't believe it, while Ozma thanked Yang Hui. If Yang Hui hadn't stopped Grace, Li Lan Hui would have been bewitched by Grace and would have been in real danger. But, why me? Li Lan Hui asked nervously. Because of your life experience, and your innate, and currently unique talent. My life experience. Hearing the word life experience, Li Lan Hui's body began to tremble slightly. She knew that she was Ozma's adopted sister, and she had no memory of herself before she was adopted. Sometimes, some fragmented images would suddenly appear, making her curious, but also afraid. Ozma on the side also clenched his fists. He certainly knew Li Lan Hui's life experience. It was because of his lack of ability that Li Lan Hui's tragedy happened. So he didn't dare to tell Li Lan Hui the truth. It was not because he was afraid that Li Lan Hui would leave him, but because he didn't want Li Lan Hui to be hurt again. Yes, I know your past. If you want to know, I will tell you everything. Yang Hui looked at Li Lan Hui and said seriously. Commander-in-Chief, I think. This is Lan Hui's own business, Ozma. Yang Hui directly interrupted Ozma's obstruction and scolded, Lan Hui has grown up. She has the right to make choices for herself. Moreover, this matter is not just Lan Hui's business, but it concerns the safety of the entire fleet. How could this be? Both Ozma and Li Lan Hui were frightened by Yang Hui. They couldn't imagine why a person's forgotten past would be related to the safety of the entire fleet. So, Lan Hui, I need you to think about it seriously. If you want to know, I will tell you the truth, but if you don't want to know, I understand and I won't mention it again. Li Lan Hui was very conflicted, wondering whether she should know her past and whether she had the ability to take on this responsibility. Lan Hui. Seeing Li Lan Hui's entanglement, Ozma was in pain. He still remembered that when he adopted Li Lan Hui, she was a walking corpse. Others could not understand it at all. When Li Lan Hui spoke to Ozma for the first time and became a living person again, he was so excited and happy. Li Lan Hui was his atonement and self-salvation. He did not ask Li Lan Hui to become an outstanding person, but only hoped that she could grow up healthily and live happily every day. That was enough. Mr. Yang Hui, I want to know. In the end, Li Lan Hui decided to know the truth of all this. The 25th Fleet had her friends and her home. Her brother and the people she loved were fighting for the 25th Fleet. She didn't want to be a bystander anymore. Yang Hui received Li Lan Hui's enlightenment, nodded seriously, and told Li Lan Hui everything he knew, including the research project of V-type infection, the relationship between Mount Nome, Lan Zimed and Grace O'Connor. Lan Zimed was her biological mother, and the truth about the destruction of the 117th Survey Fleet, Grace and her accomplices behind her, and even Grace's relationship with Vajra and their conspiracy. This. Commander-in-Chief, is this all true? Before Li Lan Hui asked, Ozma couldn't help but speak, his face full of anger. It's true. Yang Hui nodded. We have been investigating the conspiracy of Grace and the G Fleet, including on Gallia 4, We found that Grace was about to detonate the Dimension Devourer, but fortunately it was stopped in time, and the newly appeared enemies also have a very close connection with him. Actually, it's actually like this. Then where is Grace? Did you catch her? Ozma asked anxiously. She escaped. Yang Hui shook his head with a regretful expression on his face, but I have sent people to chase her. As long as she is still in the 25th Fleet, we will definitely catch her. I understand. Then Commander-in-Chief, what do you mean by Lan Hui's safety that concerns the safety of the entire fleet? In fact, the truth is not that important to Ozma. Ozma is most concerned about Li Lan Hui's safety and the safety of the 25th Fleet. Li Lan Hui is still trying to digest the truth that Yang Hui told her, and was still enduring the headache to accept her past, but when she heard Ozma ask this question, she also raised her head and looked at Yang Hui, hoping to get an answer. Chapter 931 bowed his head for her. Lan Hui, now that you know what makes you unique, you should understand why Vajra is so easily attracted by your singing, right? Li Lan Hui lowered her head. She thought she understood what Yang Hui meant. Her singing would attract Vajra, so she couldn't sing casually in the future. Her dream had just taken a small step, and she had to stop. Ozma looked at Li Lan Hui's loss, feeling distressed, but more relaxed. On the one hand, he didn't want Li Lan Hui to be a star, and on the other hand, Li Lan Hui would be less dangerous if she stopped singing. Mr. Yang Hui, I understand. I won't sing again. I think you misunderstood, Lan Hui. Yang Hui interrupted Li Lan Hui and explained what he meant. Whether you sing or not, Vajra has found you. You can perfectly coexist with Vajra bacteria. You have been regarded as one of them by Vajra, not to mention the control of Grace's gang behind you. So whether you sing or not, Vajra will not let us go. How could it be? The little pet you hid is the best proof. Xiao. You all know. Li Lan Hui is panicked. She really liked Xiao, who she took in. Not only was she very cute, but she was also very spiritual. She was also the only listener when Li Lan Hui was lost. However, the 25th Fleet has regulations that it is not allowed to adopt unknown creatures at will. Once discovered, they will be severely punished. But I didn't expect. Xiao had already been discovered by Yang Hui and others. Vajra's larvae are certainly worthy of our attention. Vajra's larvae. As soon as these words came out, Ozma and Li Lan Hui were both shocked, especially Ozma. Vajra, who he risked his life to fight, had actually sneaked into his house without anyone noticing. Don't worry, Ozma, Lan Hui. Yang Hui asked the two to relax a little. I said before that Vajra has regarded Lan Hui as one of their own kind, so they will not hurt Lan Hui. This larva was just attracted by Lan Hui's singing and has no ill intentions. At the same time, this is also the best proof that Vajra is not an unintelligent creature. The close relationship between Lan Hui and Xiao also proves that it is feasible to communicate and coexist with Vajra, so, please allow me to refuse, Commander-in-Chief. Without waiting for Yang Hui to finish, Ozma directly refused. He had guessed what Yang Hui was going to say next, and he would never allow it. Brother. Li Lan Hui looked at Ozma in confusion. Stop talking, Lan Hui. This is the only thing I won't agree to no matter what. Ozma said with a sullen face. But, Mr. Yang Hui hasn't said anything yet. Ozma, I didn't ask for your consent. Yang Hui also lowered his voice and said to Ozma. Commander-in-Chief. You also participated in the previous battle. You should know better than Lan Hui what kind of threat the 25th Fleet is facing. But, Lan Hui is just a child. And she is a civilian. She should not be involved, let alone used. She is also a member of the 25th Fleet. The moment Vajra targeted the 25th Fleet and Grace targeted her, she was already involved. You should know this very well. Yang Hui shouted, and his momentum made Ozma a little breathless. But, Ozma actually knew very well that in the previous battle, he fully understood his weakness and powerlessness, and he also understood that Li Lan Hui, who was targeted, was no longer qualified to say that he didn't want to get involved. Li Lan Hui was already at the center of the vortex the moment she was born. But he really couldn't accept it. He used Li Lan Hui to communicate with Vajra and joined forces with Vajra to fight against a powerful enemy. Yang Hui's eyes fell on Li Lan Hui and said to her, Lan Hui, I hope you can be a bridge of communication between us and Vajra, so that we can understand each other and coexist with each other. Me. Li Lanhui exclaimed. She never expected that Yang Hui would ask her to do such an important thing. The heavy pressure fell on her shoulders. Yes, this matter can only be done by you. The other enemy has no possibility of communication at all. We are already irreconcilable enemies. However, with our current strength, it is difficult for only one force to match, let alone the two forces to unite together, so we must unite with Vajra to overcome this difficulty. But Miss Shirley and Miss Leica's. Li Lanhui believed that her singing skills were not as good as Shirley and Leica's. Since she could do it, then could Shirley and Leica's do it too. After all, they were all idols she admired. Lux can't do that. She doesn't have Vajra bacteria in her body. Although Vajra can also understand singing, without Vajra bacteria, she can't resonate with Vajra. Surely, the Vajra bacteria in her body have spread to a point where it can't be delayed. The inhibitor has lost its effect due to drug resistance. Now the only way to save Shirley is to understand Vajra. The Queen of Vajra makes Vajra lose its harm to the human body. How could it be? Miss Shirley. Li Lanhui looked at Shirley in horror. She knew Shirley was sick, but she didn't expect it to be a V-type infection, and she didn't expect it to be so serious. As the commander-in-chief of the entire army, I hope you can take on this important task. As Shirley's boyfriend, I also hope you can save Shirley, please. When Shirley heard Yang Hui admit that he was her boyfriend, her heart was full of excitement and sweetness. Although she liked to be arrogant in front of Yang Hui and would never admit that she liked Yang Hui, she was also waiting for this day. It was just because of pride that she didn't want to take the initiative to speak. But seeing Yang Hui bowing to Li Lanhui for her, she was moved, but also felt more self-blame and guilt. Shirley knew Yang Hui very well. Although Yang Hui was a very easygoing person in private, he had a pride in his heart that no one could match. He would definitely get everything he wanted with his own hands, and protect everything he cherished with his own hands, and would never pin his hopes on others. But now, for her, that upright back bent with straight spine and bowed to others. Mr. Yang Hui, you don't have to be like this. Li Lanhui was also a girl. When she heard Yang Hui admit that he was Shirley's boyfriend, she was a little embarrassed, but when she saw Yang Hui sincerely asking for her, she became even more restless. Commander-in-Chief. Ozma looked at this scene with a very complicated mood. If Yang Hui only asked Li Lanhui for consent as the commander-in-chief, then Ozma would only think that Yang Hui was trying to morally kidnap Li Lanhui like those hypocritical politicians. But when Yang Hui asked Li Lanhui to save Shirley Lu as Shirley Lu's boyfriend, Ozma couldn't bring himself to do so, because this request was the same as his own desire not to let Li Lanhui get into danger. Please, this is my request as the commander-in-chief of the 25th Fleet, and also, as a man. Chapter 932, New Orders for the Skeleton Squad and the Pixie Squad. Mr. Yang Hui, you really don't have to do this. I promise you, I will try my best. Li Lanhui is panicking now. Although she was familiar with Yang Hui and knew that Yang Hui was a very easygoing person, Yang Hui's status was there. How could Li Lanhui have the nerve to beg such a high-ranking person? Lanhui. Ozma looked at Li Lanhui seriously. As a soldier of the 25th Fleet and as someone who was also worried about his family, Ozma understood Yang Hui's actions, but it was precisely because of his understanding that Ozma did not want Li Lanhui to agree. Brother. I'm serious. This time, Li Lanhui was not angry that Ozma interfered with her decision, but looked at him with a very serious and firm look. Mr. Yang Hui is right. I have become the center of the vortex. I can't escape, and you are all fighting desperately. If I can help, I am willing. Lanhui. Seeing Li Lanhui's eyes, a lot of words of persuasion and scolding were blocked in the throat, unable to speak. And, if I can save Miss Shirley, I am willing to do it. Lanhui. Thank you, Lanhui. At this time, Shirley was also very moved. Like Yang Hui, she lowered her proud head and expressed her sincerest gratitude to Li Lanhui. Don't be like this, Miss Shirley. Li Lanhui waved her hands repeatedly, thinking that she was unworthy of it. All this happened because of me. I definitely can't stay out of it, and I can't just watch Miss Shirley die and do nothing. As long as I can help, I will definitely try my best. Lanhui's promise made Yang Hui feel relieved. Mr. Yang Hui, what do I need to do? Li Lanhui asked seriously. Thank you, Lanhui. Although we need you to serve as a bridge between the fleet and Vajra, there is no need to rush. If you want to communicate with the Queen of Vajra, You must find the location of Queen Vajra. The reconnaissance team to find Queen Vajra has been arranged. Before finding Queen Vajra, you can maintain your current life, study when you should study, sing when you should sing, and you will be asked to take relevant tests when necessary. Is that so? I understand. I will try my best. Yes. Yang Hui nodded and looked at Ozma again, because Grace has not been caught yet, and I don't know if they have other people hiding in the 25th Fleet. In order to ensure Lan Hui's safety, I will let crews send someone to protect Lan Hui's safety 24 hours a day. I understand. Thank you, Commander-in-Chief. Although Ozma was helpless, Li Lan Hui had made his own decision, and Yang Hui's order had been issued. As a soldier, he could only obey, but he also had some ideas of his own. Commander-in-Chief, please allow me to take a temporary vacation. Not approved. Yang Hui shook his head without hesitation, rejected Ozma's application for leave, and ordered in the most serious tone, Major Ozma, order all members of the Skeleton Squad and the Pixie Squad to temporarily join Lan Hui's escort team. Yes. Originally, when Ozma saw that Yang Hui rejected his application for leave, he wanted to retire to protect Li Lan Hui's safety, but who knew that good things would come after bad times, and he was grateful for Yang Hui's order. Yes. Yang Hui nodded, took out his pad and called the instructor group. This is Yang Hui, let the Skeleton Squad and the Pixie Squad gather in my office immediately. After hanging up the phone, Yang Hui said to Ozma, go to my office, I'll tell you some things before the mission begins. Yes. Sure Lilu, you stay here and chat with Lan Hui first, I'll be back soon. Well, you go and get busy, I'm fine. After Yang Hui and Ozma left the room, Li Lan Hui became restrained again, and the firmness and seriousness before disappeared. Ms. Zhu. Miss Shirlilu, I'm sorry, I don't blame you, Lan Hui. Shirlilu got up and walked to Li Lan Hui and sat down, gently holding Li Lan Hui's hand and comforting her. This is not your fault, it's all Grace's conspiracy, so you don't have to feel guilty. But, okay, Lan Hui, don't worry about me, I won't be defeated by this little difficulty, I'm Shirlilu. Yes. Shirley looked so radiant at the moment, which made Li Lan Hui feel more confident. But Lan Hui, you have to be prepared. There is no time to relax. Your voice is nice, but you still lack skills in stage performance. Lux and I are very strict in teaching you. You have to be mentally prepared. Yes, I will try my best. On the other side, Yang Hui brought Ozma to his office. Soon, the members of the Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad were all there, waiting for Yang Hui to end the call. Didn't catch it. I know. That's good. In this way, Brera should be able to gain more trust from Grace and the others. Start it, that's Billy's confident work. Okay, I believe you. After hanging up the phone, Yang Hui looked up at the people of the Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad. Seeing that they were all sweating, he couldn't help but curl his lips. Is it hot? Not hot. And of course it's not hot if they are all sweating. But can we hear what we just said? Question mark. Okay, wipe the sweat off your face. Ozma, tell them about Grace and Lan Hui. Yes. Then, Ozma told everyone in the two teams about Grace's true identity, Li Lan Hui's special situation, and the tasks that the two teams would perform next. Commander. I have objections. As soon as Ozma finished speaking, Art spoke. Although he didn't rush up and grab someone's collar like before, his impulsive personality was still there. Speak. Why did you use Lan Hui? It's not use. Lan Hui herself agreed to this. Isn't that moral kidnapping? You know that stupid girl can't refuse other people's requests. Alter. Shut up. Seeing that Alter was getting more and more outrageous, Ozma immediately scolded Alter. If we talk about a person who is most unwilling to let Li Lan Hui be involved, Ozma is definitely the first, but he was present during the whole conversation. On the one hand, Yang Hui's words are indeed reasonable. Li Lan Hui, who lives in the 25th Fleet, is also targeted by the Grace Gang and has become the center of the storm. She can't avoid it or hide from it. On the other hand, Li Lan Hui herself is willing to do it. It's not just that she can't refuse other people's requests, but also Li Lan Hui's awakening and growth. He can't stop it. Alter continues to contradict Yang Hui like this. What if Yang Hui gets angry and directly cancels their mission? Are they really going to retire collectively? But, damn it. What's the point of our existence? Art said unwillingly, monsters like Vajra can just be eliminated directly. It's precisely because we can't do that we need Lan Hui. Chapter 933 Activation Code, additional chapter for our friend Strike Gundam, happy birthday to him. Although Art was unwilling and angry, he was powerless to refute. Now he had a clearer understanding of other enemies in the universe and would not think that he was invincible just because of his passion and impulse. According to intelligence, the Vajra was a dominant race in the universe a long time ago. Even the civilization of humans in Zentredi, the primitive civilization, was later than that of the Vajra. The fold-jumping technology that they rely on now was borrowed from the Vajra by the primitive civilization. Human civilization is as young as a child in the universe. How could it be possible to defeat the already famous dominant universe? Not to mention, in addition to Vajra, they also face the threat of another enemy. I won't agree. Art said with clenched teeth. I don't need your approval, I just need you to obey orders. Yang Hui stared at Art, and then said to all the members of the Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad, from now on, you will suspend your training mission and join Li Lanhua's escort formation, with the members who are responsible for escort as the main ones. Understood. And after arranging the tasks, Yang Hui asked Ozma to take the members of the Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad to connect with Cruz's department. As a mercenary organization, they have not been exposed to escort missions, and they are definitely not as good as Cruz's professional team. Naturally, they also need to know some precautions while connecting, which can be regarded as learning from them. Yang Hui returned to the room where Shirley Lu and Li Lanhua were. As soon as he entered the door, he saw the two of them talking and laughing, and he was relieved, knowing that their friendship had not deteriorated because of what happened today. Yang Hui, you're back. Mr. Yang Hui, where's your brother? Ozma has taken his people to make contact. They will be back soon. Please wait here patiently. When they come back, you can leave with them. Okay, Mr. Yang Hui. After arranging everything, Yang Hui asked Shirley whether to continue to accompany Li Lanhua here or send her away. Shirley chose to go with Yang Hui. Although she had asked for leave from the doctor, she had to return to the hospital. Her condition was only temporarily suppressed and did not improve. In order to carry out work better later, she should also stay in the hospital. On the other side, Grace and Brellastern, who had finally gotten rid of the pursuers, were hiding in the maintenance pipeline at the bottom of the island. Grace could no longer see the elegance she had before, and Brellastern was pale. Because he was a biochemical man, the gunshot wound on his shoulder did not cause him much harm, but he was also exhausted physically and mentally from protecting Grace to escape. Damn Yang Hui. He actually developed this kind of technology. I almost died. It's really dangerous. This person must be eliminated in advance. But how to do it? Grace has been completely exposed, and with this special shielding technology that blocks the consciousness network, Grace can no longer stay in the 25th Fleet. Then let's change people. Send a few more people to replace Grace and take the opportunity to kill Yang Hui. If Yang Hui was so easy to kill, would he have stayed until now? The protection around him is very tight, and there is no chance at all. We can't just watch like this. Who knows what else he can come up with? He is too big a threat to us. Reveal their identities? After all, they are outsiders. As long as their identities are made public, they will definitely. It's too late. If Leon Mishima was still alive, there would still be a chance, but now there is no chance. We have lost control of the 25th Fleet, and no one will believe it if we tell it to others. Then use other people to threaten him. Wang Liumei, Lux, Shirley. These people are his women, he will definitely not sit idly by. Haha, stupid. Among Yang Hui's women, which one is simple except Shirley? According to the information shared by Leon Mishima, Wang Liumei's skills in scheming are far beyond people's imagination. What's more, Cruz is right next to her. She is an existence that cannot be ignored. Lakis is even more impossible. She is the one who hides the deepest. On the surface, she is a young lady who is ignorant of the world, but in fact, her scheming and skills are not inferior to Wang Liumei at all. Let alone the others. They are basically in our own fleet. That is a restricted area that we want to break through, but have no way to do so. Shirley is the only one. Find a way to make a fuss about Shirley. We have to get Lakis out of the way. With Lakis by her side, we have no chance. Then let me do it. My success rate is much higher. So, Grace, abandon that body temporarily and let someone else infiltrate Fleet 25. At this time, the results of the discussion in the consciousness network have been reached. Grace is completely exposed. In addition, Yang Hui has the technology to temporarily block the consciousness network. Grace is no longer suitable to stay in the 25th Fleet, nor is she suitable to continue to lead their plan. She gave up the existing body and returned to the consciousness network. Others will continue to carry out their plan. No, I can't go back yet. Grace said, if I suddenly disappear, or abandon this body, Yang Hui and others will immediately be alert. It will be very difficult for others to infiltrate the 25th Fleet. I must stay in the 25th Fleet to attract the attention of Yang Hui and crews for you. This is only one reason, but the reason why Grace is more unwilling to return is that she does not want to give up the dominant position of the plan. The reason why such a huge conspiracy is that only she has a body to execute it is because this plan was proposed by her and she was the leader of this organization from beginning to end. The consciousness network, a large group of like-minded people, does not mean that they have no selfishness. As far as Grace knows, there are many people in the consciousness network who want to pull her down. Once this position is lost, she will never get it back. Grace's words make sense. Let her attract the attention of Yang Hui and crews, and the others will sneak in. Who will go? Among us, I'm the only killer, right? Count me in. I'll go too. I have good experience in dealing with women. I'll go too. Implant technology may be cracked. It's better to use primitive hacking technology to obtain intelligence in the future. Count me in. Soon, a special team of 7 people was decided, including killers, hackers, fighters, and even a Sea King who specializes in dealing with women. Everyone, I have another proposal. At this time, Grace said to everyone, Major Brera has proved his loyalty with his actions. It's time to decide whether to completely accept him as one of us. Damn it, this group of people has decided to pull me down. I can't rely on them anymore. I must have my own people. This is the real thought in Grace's heart. Before, she completely regarded Brera Stern as a chess piece that could be discarded at any time. It was also because most people in the consciousness network could be trusted, and there was no need to win over Brera Stern. But now it's different. Their organization is based on ability and results. Grace's plan has major flaws. No matter what the reason is, Grace's leadership has been questioned. Grace can no longer fully trust others and must develop her own subordinates to consolidate her position. I doubt this. I second the motion. The previous escape was too strange and it is impossible to determine. That's right. It's really strange to escape from Yang Hui and his men. I think it's okay. This time he protected Grace from being captured and was also conscientious and responsible. I agree. We have been observing for such a long time. Is there no problem? The consciousness network was divided into 2 factions, and the 2 factions of agreement and disagreement were arguing fiercely. I'm not interested in your plan. I just want my memory. At this time, Brera Stern spoke up. He was a biochemical man who also had implant technology. However, when he was transformed, many system locks were set in his brain, resulting in Brera Stern only being able to connect to the consciousness network but unable to obtain important information from it. Look, he said so himself. Let's observe him for a while longer. Second. What are you still observing? Haven't you all seen his memories? What else can be wrong? He protected Grace, so he should be rewarded, right? And Grace needed people around her when she was the bait. They started arguing again, but this also made Grace more aware of who still supported her and who was dissatisfied with her. Silence. Seeing that the 2 sides were arguing, Grace shouted with a dark face, interrupting the dispute between the 2 factions, since there are still people who don't trust Brera, then we should free up his permissions and let him join us. Don't forget, everyone, the implant system lock is 2-way. We blocked his permissions, and also blocked our access to him. This was the plan you proposed in the first place. The you in Grace's mouth were the group of people who opposed her. Most of them were military, political and business leaders of the G Fleet. Most of them had some little secrets that they didn't want others to know, especially when they just agreed to join this plan and didn't trust anyone. So in order to keep these secrets, they requested a 2-way system lock during the development of the implant technology to prevent their scandals from being completely exposed. If that's the case, then I have nothing to say. Then let's see what other secrets he has. The opponents who were speechless by Grace could not find any reason to oppose. Although they wanted to usurp Grace's position, Grace's value was still very important and could not be completely abandoned at this time. In addition, In order to continue the plan, Grace was also needed as bait. In order to give full play to the role of bait and allow the plan to be implemented, Grace really needed people around her, and these people could not be the people who had not been exposed yet. Then let's start. Brera. Tisk. Got it. Brera Stern really had no interest in joining them completely. He had no idea about the ultimate goal of the plan. He just wanted to get his memory back. It was just because of Grace's threat that he could only do it. At the moment when the authority of the consciousness network was open to him, he completely lifted the reverse system lock on the consciousness network, and the whole person was displayed in front of everyone without reservation. Well, no problems were found. Someone did help him escape. No information was revealed during the interrogation. You can trust him. Soon, all the information about Brella Stern was displayed without reservation in the consciousness network, and those in the consciousness network also put aside their suspicion of Brella Stern. Brella Stern also learned a lot of important information, including the whole picture of the whole plan, the ultimate goal, and the location of the consciousness network center. It was at this time that a very secret code was activated in Brella Stern's mind. Although I'm late, I still have to make up for it. Happy birthday to my group friend Strike Gundam. Chapter 934, a plan that will never pass. The 25th Fleet, Yang Hui brought Wang Liumei, Char, Rebel and other senior executives to see off the promise. The fleets of Malu, Katie and Fleet are ready. Nadal, pay attention to safety. If you find that something is not feasible, you must retreat immediately. Yang Hui reminded. Don't worry, I know my limits. Bakalulu nodded in agreement. Yulin, Zima, take care of yourselves. Yeah, don't worry. And you, if they lose a hair, I will cut you to death. He is gentle to his women, but to others, it is a naked threat. Is the difference so big? Graham and others complained depressedly. Nonsense. You are not my wife. It just so happens that we don't want you to help us set a flag. How do you know I think so? Ho ha ho ha. Although he complained and teased, Yang Hui still hugged everyone tightly. After the farewell, they watched the Promise leave the port, and only retracted their gazes when they completely entered the full jump channel. They trusted the members of the Promise 100%. They were absolutely top-notch in both personal ability and teamwork. It was precisely because of this that they were needed to carry out such a dangerous reconnaissance mission. Don't worry, with the latest intelligence and Brera's support, they will be fine. Cruz comforted. When did you comfort people? Shouldn't you use the taunt skill on the spot at this time? Yang Hui did not receive Cruz's kindness at all, but became alert. There must be something wrong with his abnormal behavior, huh? Actually, there is a small matter that needs your approval. Sure enough, the weasel paid a New Year's greeting to the chicken, but he had no good intentions. What's the matter? Yang Hui raised his eyebrows and asked Cruz. Can you die once? Cruz asked. Yang Hui, Greek letter theta, I have a plan. If it works, we can completely eliminate that group of people in advance. The consciousness network center is in that place. How do you eliminate them? Good news, through Brella Stern, who has completely penetrated the enemy, Yang Hui and Cruz have already taken control of the consciousness network center that they are most eager to find. Bad news, the location of the consciousness network center is on Queen Vajra's body, and it is her head. Good news, Queen Vajra and the home planet of this Vajra tribe are indeed at the end of the scheduled route of the 25 fleets, and the missing galaxy is also nearby. Bad news, there is no information about the snake of the body, and it is impossible to determine the location, the number, the configuration, and nothing. So, with so much intelligence already obtained, the main reconnaissance target of the Promise has changed from the Queen of Vajra to the snake of the body. The fleet has accelerated towards the final goal and has been agreed by everyone, but the snake of the body, a major concern, has not yet determined the specific information, which is an important factor affecting the final battle. Now, Brella Stern's card has been revealed. Although he has not been exposed, it is impossible to obtain more intelligence in a short time. Moreover, the more actions he takes, the easier it is to be exposed, so Yang Hui and his team can only rely on themselves. Their special forces have already infiltrated the main island, and their goal is to assassinate you. If you can die once, I can. Infiltrate them? Then you have to undergo an implant operation first. Yang Hui teased. Well, that's exactly what I plan to do. Reject, don't even think about this plan. Yang Hui rejected this plan without hesitation. Cruz knew what Yang Hui was worried about, and explained, I have obtained the complete implant technology through Brella. Although it will be biochemically modified, the brain is relatively well preserved. If you want to change back, you can use the medical cabin. As for our intelligence, I will store this part of the memory during the transformation operation. Okay, Cruz, this plan is abandoned. Yang Hui interrupted Cruz's speech and directly denied Cruz's plan. We don't have time. That's right, we don't have time. How long do you think it will take to join them completely? 3 months. After 3 months, we have reached the destination. No, it can be postponed. After you die, I will take over the 25th Fleet and slow down the fleet's progress. Billy has some projects that also need time, and other people should understand. I said no, that's it. I understand. This is also the biggest change after Cruz joined Promise Fortress. In the past, he did whatever he wanted, and no one could change his mind. Even if there were companions, he would report the results directly first instead of asking for consent. Now Cruz has put Yang Hui in an absolutely dominant position. Under normal circumstances, with the authority delegated to him by Yang Hui, he can decide his own way of doing things and directly execute his own plan, but when making plans, he will subconsciously consider that the content of the plan will not violate Yang Hui's principles. If it is too important, he will ask Yang Hui for consent before executing it. If Yang Hui disagrees, he will not act without Yang Hui's consent. There are 2 reasons why Yang Hui did not let Cruz carry out this plan. One is Cruz himself. Once the biochemical transformation is carried out, Cruz's upper limit will be fixed. Although it can be changed back, it is unknown what kind of changes will be triggered. It is very likely that Cruz will never be able to cross the A-level barrier in his life and stay at the B-level. For members of the Promise Corps, especially those who have to drive Ms. to the battlefield, although wisdom is important, it will never be as good as their own strength. Once Cruz's upper limit is fixed, he will definitely fall behind and can only hide in the dark to deal with those dirty jobs. Another reason is that Cruz is likely to be excluded by the entire Promise Corps, and even disgusted and abandoned. Although Cruz's approach is only part of the plan, and Yang Hui is only cooperating with Cruz to fake his death, but don't forget the important point that Yang Hui is the benchmark and belief of the entire Promise Corps, and an undefeated myth. Even if it is a fake death, it will cause an uproar. This secret plan would definitely not be told to everyone. At most, only the top leaders would know about it. Once Yang Hui died, the entire Promise Corps would immediately fall into great chaos. Moreover, it was Cruz who killed him. Then the entire Promise Corps would retaliate against Cruz without any bottom line. The 25th Fleet would probably be turned into floating scrap metal in the universe. Therefore, Yang Hui would never agree to Cruz's plan. In this case, we can only pin our hopes on Baki Lulu and the others. Cruz sighed and said. Brella Stern had issued an order through the secret code to focus on all intelligence related to Snake of the Body, but he felt that there would not be much gain. However, it was not completely without gain. No information about Snake of the Body was found in the consciousness network, which meant that the connection between the other party and Snake of the Body was not as close as imagined, or it was not the imagined cooperative relationship. Well, believe them, they will succeed. Yang Hui nodded. The Promise is the strongest force that the Promise Corps can currently show. They will definitely be able to complete the mission successfully and return triumphantly. Since you don't agree with my plan, I will keep a close eye on these people. When necessary. You can do it yourself, but remember to notify Brera to evacuate in advance. Don't worry. The two separated, and Yang Hui drove to Mixing Academy. The Promise set off, and the intelligence of Vajra and the Consciousness Network Center was also obtained. In the entire plan, except for the body-devouring snake, only Li Lanho was not ready. Commander-in-Chief. Seeing Yang Hui coming, the Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad in charge of the escort saluted Yang Hui. At ease, how is the situation? Yang Hui asked. As usual, there is no abnormality, but, as he said, Ozma paused and glanced around. The vision has increased. Although Ozma is not a full-time intelligence and security work, he still has the keenness cultivated on the battlefield. Well, there are rats sneaking in, but they are all in our sight, don't worry. That's good. The sights on them have not disappeared. He was still worried that the intelligence department under Cruz had failed to do its job, otherwise these prying sights should have disappeared soon after they appeared. Mr. Yang Hui. Yang Hui walked into the classroom when Li Lanhui's class had just ended. Well, how are you doing recently? Yang Hui asked Li Lanhui. Very happy. Since what happened that day, Li Lanhui has been super busy. During class, Lux and Shirley would take turns to teach Li Lanhui, especially singing skills and stage performance skills. Li Lanhui herself is also very hardworking. Not only is she fully focused in class, but she will also take time to practice during breaks. At the same time, Lux and Shirley will also take Li Lanhui to different programs to increase her popularity. Although she lacks Grace, a professional agent, the 25 fleets are in Yang Hui's hands. It is not too easy for Lux and Shirley to help Li Lanhui get some resources. At the beginning, Li Lanhui was a little self-reliant. With the encouragement of her friend Nanae Matsuura, she wanted to become famous through her own efforts. Nanae Matsuura, in particular, thought that Shirley was pitying Li Lanhui, but soon they understood the cruelty and darkness of the entertainment industry, and also understood that Lux and Shirley were not pitying Li Lanhui. Therefore, Li Lanhui now has a lot of fame, even though she has not been exposed by the Gallia 4 incident, nor has she been praised by the government and Grace. Although she is very tired, Li Lanhui is really happy, as if she is living a dream life. Chapter 935, Preparing Shrimp and Pig Heart. There is no chance at all. Lila, have you found anything useful over there? No. The girl called Lila also shook her head helplessly. The terminal that she regarded as a treasure in her hand was now tasteless. It seems that these guys are still very powerful. They can't find any loopholes at all. In a house on the main island, 7 or 8 people gathered together, including men and women, old and young. They were members of the same organization as Grace, and the Special Forces team that replaced Grace to execute the plan. Haha, didn't Snake say that? We must never give those guys time. If we give them time and opportunities, they will become extremely terrifying. It's none of our business. Don't they also need time to grow and develop? If it weren't for us, they wouldn't know where their goal is. Okay, there's no need to argue about this kind of thing. Let's get our attention back to the things at hand. That's what they say, but if we really find an opportunity, Yang Hui's whereabouts are erratic and there's no way to arrange in advance. He usually lives in a military base, and that place is an iron barrel, and it's impossible to sneak in. The plan to attack him directly is ruled out. Don't even think about Lux Klein. Several times she spotted me before I even got close to her. That look. If it weren't for Grace's guarantee, I would have thought I was exposed. What about Fairy 9? Isn't Fairy 9 already terminally ill? Grace no longer provides drugs to inhibit the spread of Vajra cells. Lai has developed a new drug. Although it can't treat type V infection, its inhibitory effect is better than the previous drugs. Lai Company? Isn't it a military-industrial enterprise? When did it get involved in the medical field? How should I know? People from the fortress. They are really scary. They can make new and more effective drugs in such a short time. But I found out Fairy 9's schedule. She needs to return to the hospital regularly for physical examinations. This should be our chance. And there is only one chance to take action. Once we miss this opportunity, Lao Lu Cruz's people will immediately target us. When was Fairy 9's last checkup at the hospital? 5 days later. Make a plan and take action in 5 days. We also need Grace's cooperation. We must divert Lao Lu Cruz's attention. And Little Queen, the capture plan also needs to be put on the agenda. It's all because of Grace. Her exposure has made it more difficult to capture Little Queen. There are 2 teams of guards in the open, not to mention those in secret. Several times, as soon as I got close to Little Queen, I felt the murderous aura locking me down. Exposed? Probably not. After getting away, the murderous aura and gaze disappeared. It's better to be careful. Let's contact Grace and ask her to lead the people away so that we can start. No problem. They were full of confidence in the next action. However, they didn't know that they had been in the consciousness network for a long time. Even if they were excellent in their respective fields, they had been worn down in the long period of comfort. Their skills and vigilance declined. They didn't notice that countless eyes were staring at them in the corners of the room and across the window. Did you hear that? Cruz sat in front of the surveillance screen and asked Yang Hui beside him with a joking look. Yang Hui rolled his eyes when he heard it. He was sitting next to Cruz. Why did he need to ask such a stupid question? When are you going to deal with it? Yang Hui asked Cruz, staring at the surveillance screen with murderous eyes. If you want, you can do it now. Cruz shrugged. In Cruz's opinion, this group of people had no value. The intelligence in the consciousness network space had been emptied by Stern. If the location of the consciousness network center was not too dangerous and remote, Cruz would have chosen to take all of them away in one go. What's your plan? Yang Hui did not agree immediately, but asked Cruz. Although he was full of murderous intent towards these guys who were targeting his woman, he would not disrupt Cruz's plan because of personal feelings. When they take action, Cruz said. Yang Hui was speechless. He now understood that Cruz was going to take advantage of him. Leave it to you. The time of action did not matter. Anyway, Yang Hui knew that Cruz would not let this group of people go. They would die sooner or later, so there was no need to rush. What about Grace? When do you plan to get rid of her? Brella reported that he found that there was still a last level of authority that could not be read. Currently, there are only 5 people with this authority, including Grace. There must be very important information in it, which is likely related to the snake of the body. Cruz reported. Then give them some more information and increase the arrest of Grace. Understood. I will let Stern get the final information as soon as possible and then evacuate. Okay. After arranging everything, Yang Hui left the monitoring center and went to Lai. The training of the Corps was proceeding in an orderly manner. Wang Lumei was in charge of the political level of the 25th Fleet. Yang Hui was very relieved. Cruz was watching over the intelligence and monitoring. All the goals were under control and there would be no problems. The Prosmi also set off and could only wait for news. The only thing Yang Hui could personally participate in was the scientific research project of Lai. On the other side, in the starry sky of the universe, the Prosmi had left the array of the large fleet and headed towards the final destination of the scheduled route of the 25th Fleet. Course correction, the detection system did not find anything. All systems operating normally. It is expected to jump out of the fold jump channel in half a month and arrive at the first relay point. The reports were summarized in Bakalulu's hands, which made Bakalulu relax a little. She was very clear about the dangers along the way and could not take it lightly for a minute or a second. Set the program, immediately activate the Sunshade system and Mirage system after jumping out of the fold jump channel, and maintain the second level combat configuration for the entire ship. Understood. XN Captain, relax a little, we have just set out. Graham advised. This mission is too dangerous, and the snake is seriously lacking in intelligence. We can't let down our guard. Bakilulu shook his head and said. Don't worry, our departure did not attract their attention, and our current location is not far from the fleet. Nothing will happen. You are not the captain, so you don't understand. Bakilulu continued to shake his head. As the captain, he shoulders the responsibility of the entire battleship. As the captain, Bakilulu naturally has to control the status of the entire battleship at any time to ensure the safety of the entire battleship. So I'm not a captain, nor a team leader. It's good to follow Yang Hui alone. Graham shrugged and smiled. Although he had never been a captain, he had been a team leader and led troops. He knew the feeling. Whenever he saw his subordinates sacrificed, the regret and sadness brought by the responsibility were really uncomfortable. So when the Promise Corps expanded, Graham turned down all his duties and followed Yang Hui as a guard. Even if he was on a mission with a team, he was alone and would never lead a team. Not only did he not have to bear the shackles of responsibility, but he also didn't have to worry about being dragged down by others in battle. Unfortunately, Yang Hui is not here for this mission. The Ms. troops have to be led by you. Bakilulu smiled and looked at Graham. It's not my turn to worry about it. Graham spread his hands, looking casual. Yulin is in charge of the team, so I don't need to say anything. Besides, the people on this ship. I don't think they need a team commander. This is not an excuse to be lazy, Graham. Bakilulu certainly understood what Graham meant. Every one of the Ms. troops of the Promise was a top ace, and they were also companions who often fought together. The tacit understanding they had cultivated did not require anyone to command them at all. They knew what they should do and how to do it at any time. If tactical command was really needed, Yulin, Aslan, Neil and others could take on this responsibility. But Bakilulu was not as relaxed as Graham. After all, Yang Hui specifically said when they parted that the battleship depended on her, and the Ms. troops depended on Graham. Yang Hui has already given instructions. The Ms. unit is left to you. Tisk, you two are really something. Graham scratched his head in frustration. You are really not from the same family. You are both black-hearted capitalists. You even said you wanted to quit your job as an instructor and come out to relax. Who made Yang Hui value you so much? Since he values you so much, as his wife, I naturally can't let you be lazy. Alice, I really owe your family in my previous life. Graham sighed. Although he was not present, Yang Hui had spoken, and Graham would naturally not disobey. Leave it to me, I will take care of them. Looking at Graham's depressed back, Bujalulu smiled gently. Aslan is indecisive, Neil can't control the others, and Yulin lacks a sense of the overall situation. The others are not suitable for tactical command. Let Graham take over at critical moments. He is very reliable. This is Yang Hui's evaluation of the aces of the MIS unit on the Promise. They are responsible for combat power and team tactics. They are all strong, but they rely on their strong personal strength and the tacit understanding cultivated over the years. They almost don't need instructions. A subtle movement can tell what the other party wants to do. But there are also emergencies that require temporary tactical command. In the past, Yang Hui has followed the Promise, so when tactical command is needed, it is natural for Yang Hui to take on this responsibility. But this time, Yang Hui is not there. With Yang Hui's understanding of these aces, Yang Hui handed over the temporary command of the MIS unit to Graham. Only he can hold up at the most critical moment. Each department should arrange the duty order, and the radar monitoring system should be turned on at full power throughout the whole process. Any abnormality must be reported immediately. Understood. XN. Chapter 936, No Pleasure at All, Bad Review. On the way from the hotel where Shirley lived to the hospital, there were people hiding in the crowd at every section, observing the pedestrians and environment around them. Number 1 report, the target appeared, passing Avenue 3 and heading towards Avenue 4. Received, you can evacuate and go to the designated location to wait for the rendezvous. Understood. The target is about to enter the designated area, prepare to take action. Understood, just wait and see. Hacker Lila, who was in charge of sitting in the center and serving as the eyes and temporary commander of the entire team, took off her headphones with trembling hands and closed the computer. It was not that she had absolute confidence that others would be able to complete the task and successfully capture Shirley, but thank you for your hard work, Miss Lila. Cruz sat next to Hacker Lila with his legs crossed. Similarly, Hacker Lila was surrounded by several dark gun muzzles pointing at her head. I did everything you said. Can you let me go? Hacker Lila asked Cruz in a trembling voice. Just today, the team members dispersed according to the predetermined plan and went to the designated location to wait for orders, ready to capture Shirley to threaten Yang Hui to surrender. Lila was still checking the surveillance footage of the 25th Fleet, when suddenly Cruz led his men into the team's temporary base and arrested Hacker Lila. Hacker Lila had originally planned to immediately inform her accomplices that the operation had failed, and cut off the connection between her consciousness and this body, and escape back to the consciousness network space, but she suddenly found that her connection with the consciousness network was broken, just like what Grace had reported before. Hacker Lila knew that she could not escape. Hacker Lila was not a professional operator, and her loyalty to the organization was not to the point of risking her life, so she immediately chose to surrender and fight for a chance to survive. I also want to thank you, Miss Lila. If it weren't for your suggestion that all members give up the way of communication through the consciousness network to communicate, we would not have been able to capture all of you so easily. Cruz said with a smile on his face, but in the eyes of Hacker Lila, the smile at this time was more cruel than the devil. While Hacker Lila was being captured, the capture personnel in other locations were also ready. As long as the other party made any action that seemed to abandon the mission and evacuate, they would be captured immediately. After all, this group of people have modified the implant technology. Once the connection of the consciousness network is blocked, as long as they maintain the connection of the consciousness network, they will be discovered immediately. If one of them has a problem, the others will naturally realize that something is wrong. But no, Hacker Lila was captured, and the others did not show any abnormality at all. Instead, they continued to implement the capture plan according to Hacker Lila's instructions. And Hacker Lila was also very cooperative. Cruz just asked a little bit and she vomited out everything. Just because Grace reported that the Promise Corps had mastered the interference technology of blocking the connection of the consciousness network in a small area, It was speculated that it was likely to have the tracking ability as well. Therefore, after arriving at the 25th Fleet, all members disconnected the connection of the consciousness network and replaced it with a primitive means in their eyes to communicate. This also gave crews the opportunity to watch the good show for a while longer. Yes, you are talking about. Then please, Miss Lila. Cruz stood up and asked Hacker Lila to leave here in a gentlemanly way. Didn't you say that if I cooperate with you, you would let me go? Hacker Lila asked Cruz with a pale face. Of course, Miss Lila, we are also honest, so we will let you live. Cruz said, the arc of the corner of his mouth rising higher and higher, becoming more and more dangerous. But before all this is over, I have to wrong you for a while. Or. Cruz saw that Hacker Lila had no intention of following him, but took a few steps back and asked with a smile, are you going to reunite with your companions? No. No. I will listen to you. Don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Every word of Cruz's words was as cold as frost, gradually freezing Hacker Lila's soul. The muzzle of the gun that was getting closer and closer also made Hacker Lila give up all her reserve and beliefs, and begged for mercy without any image. Then please go ahead, Miss Lila. Okay, I'll go with you, as long as you don't kill me. Cruz was disappointed with the performance of Hacker Lila. He hoped that this group of people could be tougher and relaxed during the interrogation. Who knew that the first one they caught didn't use any tricks at all, just asked a few questions and then gave up. It was boring. Well, forget it, I can only hope that the remaining few people can make me happy a little. In the convoy heading to the hospital, Lux took out the pad and took a look, then put it back. Luxury, what's wrong? Shirley asked curiously. Just a few guests who don't know how to be polite, nothing. Oh, okay. Shirley knew what Lux meant, but she didn't know the internal affairs of the Promise Corps, so she didn't understand what happened. Since Lux said it was okay, there was no need for her to continue asking. Lux smiled. Since Yang Hui had already acknowledged the relationship between Shirley and him, then Shirley was also his sister. However, Shirley was also a very special existence among his sisters. She was not good at fighting, politics, or intelligence. She could only sing. But she could only sing. There were many things that she didn't need to worry about. Therefore, Lux would not tell Shirley about many things related to the Legion. Even if Shirley asked about it, she would not talk about it in depth. She would just say a few words to fool around. Not long after, the two arrived at the hospital. After the examination, the doctor was very surprised by Shirley's condition. Ms. Shirley, your physical condition is very stable now. It seems that the new medicine developed by Lai is really good. The Vajra bacteria in your body has completely stopped spreading. Really? Does that mean I don't have to worry about it anymore? Shirley asked in surprise. Of course not, Miss Shirley. The doctor replied to Shirley with regret. The medicine you are using now is just an inhibitory drug. It can only inhibit the spread of Vajra bacteria, but it cannot eliminate the Vajra bacteria that have already spread. Moreover, if a certain drug is used frequently, the human body will develop drug resistance. Even if it is a new drug, the efficacy will become worse and worse. Therefore, Miss Shirley still needs to pay attention to rest and not overwork. It is also necessary to completely cure the V-type infection. Oh, I see. Shirley's mood fell rapidly from the peak like a roller coaster. Don't worry, Shirley, you will be fine. Lux hugged Shirley's shoulders and comforted her. Well, I'm fine, Lux. Shirley was just a little disappointed. She already knew how to completely cure the V-type infection, and Yang Hui also gave her a guarantee, so she would not despair. She just needed to wait patiently, but during this period of time, she could not work as much as she wanted. At the same time, Yang Hui, who was working hard with Billy Katajiri and Luo at Lai Company, also received Cruz's report. We caught them all, without alerting Shirley. Cruz said. Are they valuable? Yang Hui asked. No, the highest level is the same as Brera. We didn't get the core authority and the intelligence. What should we do? You decide. Yang Hui was very ruthless to his enemies. He would not say anything no matter how he dealt with the enemies who had no value. This sentence also told Cruz that he didn't need to ask for his opinion on such trivial matters. He was not that naive. Okay, it's just that this group of people, none of them are tough. It's really boring. Oh. Seeing Cruz's regretful expression through the pad screen, Yang Hui's mouth twitched. This guy is really going further and further on the road of sadism. After hanging up the communication, Yang Hui's attention returned to the scientific research project. The idea of rechargeable armor proposed by Luo last time has not been completed, but the correct idea has been found. The current task is to complete the development as soon as possible and equip it on the body of the Promised Legion. Yang Hui, there is still a problem with the conduction system. The energy leakage is too serious. Try Plan 88. Impact absorption is also a problem. Learn from the G-force absorption of the ISC system, and see if you can implement the G-force release program of the ISC system. Plan 88. The simulation test failed. Try Plan 89 again. After 3 months of full sailing, the Promise has approached the final goal and is about to jump out of the full jump channel. In 3 minutes, jump out of the full jump channel. The weapon system is operating normally, and the missile launcher has been fully loaded with reaction bombs and can be activated at any time. The radar detection system has not found any abnormalities. The sunshade system and the mirage system are ready. All MIS units are on standby, Captain. After receiving the report, Baki Lulu nodded and ordered the entire ship to enter the first-level combat configuration. About to jump out of the full jump channel. 3, 2, 1, jump out. The Promise successfully returned to the universe from the purple-red full jump channel. The sunshade system and mirage system have been activated, and the ship has entered a concealed state. The radar detection system has not found. Wait. An abnormal heat source has been found. The number is large. All weapon systems are activated. MIS troops will attack immediately. Without any hesitation, Baki Lulu directly issued the order to prepare for battle, but the sick made everyone's tension stagnate for a moment. Please wait. This reaction. The detected heat source is very chaotic, as if it is in a battle. In a battle. Baki Lulu was stunned for a moment, and immediately asked, "Is there an optical image?" Please wait. Yes, project an optical image. This is it. The optical image was projected on the large screen of the bridge, and at the same time transmitted to all the MIS in the hangar ready to attack. For a moment, everyone's eyes widened, looking at the scene in front of them in disbelief. All MIS troops will attack. Join the battle immediately to prevent the Snake King from devouring Queen Vajra. Sick, immediately transmit the information back to the rear and request fleet support. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 937, Cunning Grace, the most important information. A bunch of idiots. If Cruz was so easy to deal with, would I still be hiding like a dog? 2 days had passed since the planned capture of Shirley, and no feedback had been received. The scheduled contact time had also exceeded. The group of people in the consciousness network were still hoping for the best. Grace was sure that the special forces had been captured or killed. Brella Stern was right behind Grace, leaning against a metal wall with her arms folded, with a barely perceptible sneer on her lips. It had to be said that Brella Stern still admired the technology of the Promise Caller. The technological level of the G-Core was one of the best in the entire human civilization, and the implant technology was an unsolvable technology, otherwise it would not have been tabooed by a large number of core, including the 25th Caller. But how long had it been? The Promise Core had developed a technology to block the connection of the consciousness network in a small area from scratch, and the hidden code in his mind had never been discovered. Originally, when the hidden code was activated, Brella Stern was ready to be discovered, but he was shocked that even the consciousness network could not find the hidden code in his brain. No, we can't go on like this. We must find a way to take Little Queen away. Grace knew that it was difficult for them to do anything to Yang Hui. It would be more and more dangerous to stay in the 25th Fleet. They had to evacuate, but Grace was unwilling to leave empty-handed, and Little Queen could never be given up. So, Brella, go and catch Little Queen, and we will leave the 25th Fleet. The success rate is 0%. Brella Stern put away all his expressions and answered Grace. I will open the last level of permissions for you. There are several connections in it. This is the last resort. There are also them. You can contact them. Grace said to Brella Stern. The opening of the highest authority requires the joint approval of more than 4 highest authority holders. You can't give it alone. Then you underestimate me too much? Grace sneered, not only responding to Brella Stern's underestimation, but also mocking the group of idiots in the consciousness network who wanted to bring her down. As the planner and the highest executor, I have authority that none of them have. It needs to be opened and judged. Well, you take a look first. As he said that, Brella Stern felt in his mind that the last layer of barrier blocking him disappeared, and the most core information was displayed in front of him without any obstruction. This is it. Seeing the content, Brella Stern couldn't help but widen his eyes. Go and do it. Understood. Catch a wait. What are you going to do? Grace O'Connor, you are under arrest. Brella Stern pointed a gun at Grace and said coldly. He has been waiting for this moment for a long time. Even if he didn't recover his memory, he was very unhappy with Grace's use of him as a pawn. Now that he has recovered his memory, he knows that the tragedy of him and the 117th Survey Fleet was caused by this person in front of him, and he will not give him any good face. I see. Ha ha ha, it's you, Lu Cruz. Grace's expression was ferocious. She would not ask Brella Stern why he betrayed her, but would only curse her own stupidity. The 25th Fleet did not ban tourists from entering and leaving. The special forces who had never shown their faces were all captured before they had time to take action. There must be a traitor who leaked their whereabouts. It is impossible for this traitor to come out of the consciousness network. Even if there are factional struggles, it is only an internal conflict. The members of the organization absolutely approve of the plan, and there can be no traitors. Then, the traitor can only be. It's just that Grace has been running around on the run. Brella Stern has indeed protected her many times and escaped from Cruz's capture without danger. In order to protect her, she was shot many times, which made Grace not doubt Brella Stern. As a result, this was a carefully planned self-torture. I feel good to receive your praise, Grace O'Connor. At this time, Cruz's voice suddenly sounded in the temporary safe house, but he himself was not there. But Grace had already felt that the connection of the consciousness network had been interrupted. What? Don't you come to catch me in person? Grace understood that Cruz was not there, but was communicating with her remotely. You are not worth that, Grace O'Connor. Cruz's frivolous and playful voice came from all around. Lu Cruz. That's the expression, Grace O'Connor. You are too arrogant and think everything is under your control. If any accident disrupts your plan, you will lose your composure. To be honest, I am not surprised when Brera is exposed. I have already made preparations to assist Brera's evacuation. As a result, you still trust him so much? I overestimated you. No, I should say you guys. Bright red blood flowed from the corners of Grace's mouth. She bit it herself. Cruz's words were so true, and every word pierced her pride and arrogance like a sharp blade. Out of respect, let me ask you this, Grace. Surrender? Or die? Ha ha, ha ha. Hearing the sarcastic persuasion to surrender, Grace laughed crazily again. You can't catch me. No one can catch me. Ha. Cruz. And Yang Hui. And all of you. I will wait for you. Waiting to see your failed expressions. Watching you perish in despair. Ha. The laughter became louder and louder, but it stopped abruptly. Grace's body suddenly lost strength and fell to the ground. Only the whites of her eyes were left, without any life. Cruz. She forcibly cut off the connection between her body and consciousness. Brella reported to Cruz. The connection between the consciousness network was cut off, and the connection between consciousness and body was forcibly cut off. What will be the result? Cruz asked Brella. This was not his area of expertise. In order to ensure that everything was foolproof, he had to learn more intelligence. The consciousness will be shattered immediately, and become fragmented data, scattered everywhere, and almost impossible to reassemble. This is not easy to deal with. Cruz's expression was a little ugly. He didn't expect Grace to do this. According to the information provided by Brera, the fragmented data that is almost impossible to reassemble also has the possibility of reassembly, even if the possibility is small. Cruz wants to eliminate Grace, the unstable factor, once and for all, instead of leaving an uncertain ending. Cruz. I don't think Grace is a threat now. At least our attention should not be focused on her. Brera suggested seriously. What do you know? From the last core data, I know several helpers hidden in the 25th Fleet. They are all well-known bigwigs. There is also a network of relationships on Earth and other fleets. This network is very large, and the participants are not simple. There is also their connection with the snake of the body devourer, and the ultimate goal. Bring Grace's body back immediately, and report this information to me and Yang Hui in person. Cruz also became serious. The network of relationships in this organization is not very serious. The 25th Fleet has been completely controlled by the Promise Legion. Those people can't afford to make waves. As for the group of people outside the fleet, the sky is high and the Emperor is far away. It has nothing to do with them. The most important thing is the connection between this organization and the snake of the body devourer, and their ultimate goal. Yes, Brella Stern has recovered his memory and still respects Yang Hui and others. After all, they can accept this traitor and are not used as a tool that can be discarded at any time like Grace and others. And they have been protecting Li Lanhui. Since Brella Stern knew the importance of the information, he did not dare to delay and immediately rushed to Cruz to report the information he had obtained to Cruz in person. Yang Hui, who received Cruz's notice, also rushed to Cruz's office from Lai immediately. You came directly from Lai? How many days have you not slept? Cruz looked at Yang Hui, who was still wearing a greasy white coat, with messy hair and a haggard face, and asked, well, there has been progress in the technology of energy-absorbing armor. Are you really going to die of exhaustion in the laboratory? Not really, I know my situation well, so. Yang Hui looked at Brella Stern, who was standing aside, and asked, where's the intelligence? Brella Stern stepped forward and began to report, Grace and the others are affiliated with the snake, and are subordinates of the snake, or they are subordinates of the organization behind the snake. Their ultimate goal is not to control the Queen of Vajra, but to assist the snake in devouring the Queen of Vajra, and then control the entire Vajra tribe, and then treat the entire universe as nutrients for the snake. This is the content of the transaction. After it is completed, they will have the opportunity to join the other party, the organization behind it. Yang Hui and Cruz were shocked and immediately asked, what organization is it? I don't know. Brella Stern shook her head. Grace and her accomplices discovered the existence of the snake by chance. At that time, Grace and her accomplices had already mastered certain means to attract Vajra. Their original plan was to completely control the snake and make it their own power, but they failed. In order to survive, they became subordinates of the snake. Then, there is no detailed data record, and the conversation process should have been completely deleted. In this case, Yang Hui and Cruz expressed their understanding. After all, the organization behind the snake destroyed the Promise Fortress several times. Its strength is unfathomable, and it is normal for it to have more advanced means. But Yang Hui, we have to set off immediately. We can't let the snake succeed, Cruz said with a serious expression. Vajra is their important reliance for defeating the snake army. Once the snake successfully devours Queen Vajra, causing Vajra to lose the possibility of communication, then their mission can be declared a failure. Yes, that's right, I'll be right away. Ding ding ding. At this moment, the phone rang urgently, and Yang Hui and Cruz both had a bad feeling in their hearts. It's me. Yang Hui, emergency, the Promise has arrived at the target location and found that the snake and Vajra are fighting. All the members of the Promise have joined the battle to assist Vajra in fighting the snake, and sent us an emergency support request. Wong reported anxiously. The fleet will set off immediately. Support the Promise at full speed. Chapter 938 Support has arrived. Soon, Yang Hui shared the intelligence reported by Brella with the entire Prosm Corps. Everyone understood what Yang Hui meant by this order and immediately entered the tense attack procedure. Everyone also understood that this would be the final battle and the most dangerous one. After Yang Hui left Cruz, he immediately went to the TV station. Today, Shirley and Lakis took Li Lanhui to the show together. The situation was urgent, and they could not wait until the show was over to return to Mixing Academy. Brella Stern naturally followed Yang Hui to see Li Lanhui. His memory had been restored and he did not need to perform the lurking mission. He must want to meet Li Lanhui as soon as possible. Yang Hui. Lakis's expression also became serious. She also received the message and knew that the war was about to begin. Yang Hui nodded to Lux, then looked at Shirley and Li Lanhui. Shirley, Lanhui, Snake and Vajra have already started a war. We must intervene in this battle. This is also our last chance to communicate with Queen Vajra. I need your help. Yang Hui was confident in Lux. She had gone through such a big storm, and she would not be afraid to sing in the middle of the battlefield. He was afraid that Shirley and Li Lanhua would be afraid, especially Li Lanhua. Although she knew her responsibilities and was mentally prepared, she was still a small star and had just held her first concert not long ago. No problem. Shirley nodded firmly, but she was afraid in her heart. After all, the danger of the battlefield was something she had never faced directly. However, Yang Hui, Lux, and everyone in Promise Fortress gave her great support and help. Now it was her turn to repay everyone. I will work hard too. Li Lanhua had the word fear written on her face, but she still answered Yang Hui with courage. Well, keep going. Yang Hui smiled at Li Lanhua gently, encouraged her, and prepared a special gift for her. A gift? Mine? Li Lanhua asked in surprise. Well, it's better to say it's a lost item than a gift. As he spoke, Yang Hui made way and revealed Brillastern, who was blocked behind him. Lanhua. The moment she saw Brillastern, Li Lanhua's body stiffened, and she covered her mouth with her hands and cried, Brother! Brother! It's me, Lanhua, long time no see. Although Brillastern had seen Li Lanhua several times, at that time, either her memory had not been restored or her memory was still blocked. Now, it was the real reunion of the brother and sister after a long separation. Brother! Li Lanhua cried with joy and threw herself into Brillastern's arms and cried. She had now completely recovered her memory, and the two blurry faces in her memory had become extremely clear. Really? Just watched like that. Michael, who was in charge of the guard, teased Art with a smile on his face and nudged Art's waist with his elbow. What else? That's his brother. Art rolled his eyes. If Li Lanhua threw herself into the arms of another man, he might really not be able to help but beat him up, but the other party was Li Lanhua's long-lost brother and his brother-in-law. Of course, it didn't matter, and... You shouldn't say this to me. Look, over there. Art raised his head and motioned Michael to look in the direction of Ozma. Oh! Michael's mouth twitched. As expected, at this moment, Ozma was covered with a black coat that had turned into substance. He was trembling with anger, but he also made people feel extremely vicissitudes. But soon, Ozma put away his grief and anger and returned to a serious state, because... Brother, this is also my brother. Li Lanhua brought Brillastern to Ozma and introduced Brillastern to him. Thank you very much for taking care of Li Lanhua. Brillastern was very grateful to Ozma. At least Li Lanhua was able to grow up happily thanks to Ozma. But when he came to Art, Brillastern's expression was not so good. What's wrong? Art was embarrassed, thinking that he didn't seem to have done anything to offend the other party. You don't deserve her. Oh, puff brother. Okay. I support. Art was embarrassed, and veins bulged on his forehead. Li Lanhua shyly pulled Brillastern's arm and acted coquettishly. Ozma truly recognized Brillastern's brother identity at this time. They were simply brothers. A group of spectators headed by Yang Hui couldn't help laughing. They really couldn't eat spectators quietly. This is not up to you. Art's forehead veins bulged, suppressing his anger. You don't deserve her. No, his fist was hard, and Art really couldn't help it. Alt. Brother. No quarrels allowed. Ugh. X2 Alt and Brillastern fell silent at the same time. Even Ozma shrank her neck and hid aside obediently without saying anything. Her family status was immediately apparent. Okay, Brilla is joining Lanhua's escort formation now, so, join the skeleton squad. Yes. Ozma and Brillastern looked at each other and nodded. Although Brillastern thought that Ozma was not qualified to be his captain, this was Yang Hui's order and he would obey it. I guess you have received the intelligence. The fleet is about to set off and head to the final destination of the scheduled route at the fastest speed. The battle ahead has already begun, and you must also be prepared. During the battle, the stage will be set for Lux, Shirley and Lanhua, and the Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad will be responsible for protecting the safety of the stage. Yes. And they were very willing to do this task. After all, it was difficult for them to participate in the monster battle on the front line, and it was also the first time for Li Lanhua to come into contact with a battlefield, so they also hoped to protect her. Of course, Lakis and Shirley are also important. Go prepare, Shirley, Lanhua, especially you. This concert will be the most unforgettable memory of your life. No problem, leave it to me. I will do my best. Lakis, the stage and the concert layout are left to you. Yeah, don't worry. Lakis nodded seriously. Although holding a concert in battle has always been a glorious tradition in the Macros world, Shirley and Li Lanhu have only learned about the past stories from history textbooks or the internet. This time, they are personally participating. While feeling honored, they will also be nervous and have no experience. So Yang Hui handed this matter over to Lakis to arrange, and she will definitely be able to handle everything. You should also have a good rest. Cruz, Billy and Luo all told me that you haven't slept for a few days, right? Looking at Yang Hui's haggard face, Lakis tidied his messy hair with a little heartache. Until this moment, except for Brella Stern who already knew about it, no one else noticed Yang Hui's current state. His white coat was covered with oil and wrinkles, his hair was messy, and his face was haggard. Shirley was even more ashamed that she had not noticed it at all. It's okay. I know my physical condition very well. I'll go back and rest now. The research and development process has made great progress. Billy Katajiri can complete the remaining tasks alone. Luo and Yang Hui, who will soon step onto the battlefield, really need to rest well. They can't participate in the battle in a weak state. Well, go ahead, we will take care of these things. Then I'll go first. Thank you for your hard work, Lux. It's not hard. Lux shook her head gently and watched Yang Hui's back as he left. The moment the car he was riding disappeared from her sight, Lux's expression became extremely serious and solemn. Ozma, you must return to the base immediately and conduct recovery training. Your machines have not been touched during the time you have been guarding Lanhua, right? But we. Grace and the other gangs have been completely eliminated, and Cruz is responsible for clearing out the hidden collaborators. Lanhua is safe, and you don't need to continue following. Also, this is an order. Understood. XN feeling the power that Lakis burst out at this time, Ozma and others dared not disobey Lakis's words, especially the word order, which made them all clearly feel that Lakis was not only a singer, but also an excellent leader. Surely, Lanhua, let's discuss the list of songs to be sung, and the order. No problem. Shirley understood Lakis's transformation. After all, apart from the members of the Prosm Corps, she was the one who knew Lakis best. Lakis was usually very gentle, and occasionally very black-bellied, but when she was serious, you'd better listen to her arrangements. Okay, Ms. Lakis. And the details of the stage layout, the matching of the stage makeup. On the front line, Vajra's home planet, the Promise, has joined the battle, doing its best to help Vajra fight against the Snake, but it has not really joined the battlefield. Because the current Promise has been attacked by both the Snake and Vajra, and has been suppressed outside the battlefield, unable to get close at all, let alone rush into the battle to stop the Snake King from devouring Queen Vajra. Well, this is not a solution. We can't get close. After using the GN force field to block dozens of energy rays, Hishin opened fire to sweep across the field of Snake Eggs and mobile Vajra. Yulin, how far is the maximum effective range? Graham asked Yulin. Distance 3000. Damn it. Graham couldn't help but get anxious at this time. The reaction bombs of the Promise had all been used up. Although a lot of snake eggs and pythons were destroyed, they were just a drop in the ocean in front of such a huge army. If they wanted to attack the Snake King at the current position, they could only use the Genesis of the Promise. But at this moment, the support of the fleet had not arrived. Once the Genesis was used, the Promise would fall into short-term full paralysis. Under the double-sided attack of the Snake and Vajra, even a paralysis of only 1 second would be fatal. Oh my god. At this time, Setsuna said. At the current distance, if they wanted to break through the blockade and approach the Snake King in an instant, they could only use the quantum jump system of the Gundam ELS. But there is only one Gundam ELS at the moment. They have all experienced the horror of Snake King, not to mention the dense snake eggs and pythons around them, as well as the endless Vajra. Once the Gundam ELS is surrounded, even if they can successfully stop Snake King, there is no possibility of escaping unscathed. Okay. Graham knew the consequences of doing so, but there was no other way now. Snake King must be stopped, otherwise, not only will they not survive, but the entire universe will be destroyed together. At this time, Support arrived. Wait, there is a full jump reaction in the back. Identification signal. Support is here. Chapter 939, Three-Way Battle. The fleet is about to jump out of the fold channel. 3, 2, 1, jump out. The huge fleet all jumped out of the fold channel. When everyone saw what was happening in front of them, they couldn't help but exclaimed. Two huge creatures were fighting to the death on a planet. Two terrible races were fighting to the death. Only the human fleet looked so small on the side. Focus. Everyone enter the first level combat configuration. Rebaer, who was in charge of the fleet's commander-in-chief, immediately came to his senses and scolded everyone present. Yes. X and all personnel enter the first level combat configuration. Repeat, all personnel enter the first level combat configuration. All systems of the entire ship are normal, and enter the combat sequence in an orderly manner. The weapon system is fully activated, and the main gun begins to charge. The catapult deck is open, and the attack procedure is initiated. Ms. Troops, please attack in an orderly manner. The situation of the friendly fleet has been confirmed. All members of the Prosmi are alive. 4. Zuanwu class ships of the fleet were severely damaged. 2. Zixi class ships were medium damaged, and 1. White Tiger class was slightly damaged, with an 8% loss in the Ms. Troops. 3. Zuanwu class ships and 3. Zixi class ships of the Mannequin fleet were medium damaged, and 1. Zixi class was slightly damaged, with a 10% loss in the Ms. Troops. The Lamia's fleet. Order the front fleet to retreat and join the fleet array, the rear fleet to provide fire cover, and all missile launchers to load reaction bombs to prevent the enemy from pursuing. Rebel went over the situation on the scene in his mind and issued the most appropriate order. Understood. For a moment, the fleet's main guns were shining like a sky curtain, covering the snake and Vajra that surrounded the fleet in front, clearing a large area of the enemy in the fleet in front. Deploy from coordinates A15 to S31, and the reaction bombs will cover the entire area. Understood. Then, the fleet in front began to retreat, and the missile launchers in the back fired reaction bombs as dense as raindrops, which exploded in the snake and Vajra that were about to close, exploding into the fireworks called destruction. It's just the reaction bomb has a slight effect. What? Rebel's pupils shrank, and he immediately asked, what's going on? According to Commander Fleet's message, Snake and Vajra have adapted to the attack of the reaction bombs, and have offset the power of the reaction bombs by shedding their skins. Tisk, is this the day? Rebel's face was ugly. Although he knew from the beginning that Vajra and Snake had the characteristics of evolution, and the same weapons could not always work, he still felt very frustrated to personally feel that the big killer in his hand had lost its effect. Load large MDE warheads. Same position, full coverage. Understood. Continuing, endless missiles carrying brand new warheads were fired from the battleship's missile bays, raining down on the enemy's waves. There were no shock waves, no blinding light, only countless black spheres expanding, ruthlessly devouring the influx of enemies. All bullets hit. The enemy's pursuit has been stopped. Fleet, Mannequin fleet, Lamia's fleet and Promise have all joined the fleet array. Very good, the fleet is moving forward at medium speed, maintaining fire suppression in front. The Ms. Troops escort the fleet forward. At the same time, ask the 3 fleets and Promise if they need supplies. Understood. Lelouch. Commander Rebel. Lelouch, who had always served as Rebel's adjutant, bowed. Ever since Rebel accepted him as his apprentice, he has been Rebel's adjutant, learning from Rebel. I'll let you command the Dazzle fleet, the Gerhard fleet, and the Orphans fleet. Is that okay? Yes, Commander Rebel. Lelouch's eyes were condensed, and he gave an affirmative answer very seriously. If it was before, he might be very confident, but now, there is only an incomparable heavy pressure on his shoulders. After learning from Rebel for so long, it is finally time for him to show his talent, but, at the same time, he also shoulders the burden of these 3 fleets. This kind of large-scale battlefield, and it is also a racial war, the slightest mistake may cause huge losses. Moreover, what Rebel gave him was the important right-wing fleet, and the right wing was the position to directly resist the Snake, so Lelouch had to be on guard. Okay. Rebel is Lelouch's teacher. He has always seen Lelouch's growth. He believes that Lelouch is already capable of commanding these 3 fleets. Commander Rebel, Commander-in-Chief Yang Hui has sent instructions. Macro's Frontier will transform immediately and lock the main gun on the Snake King. What a ridiculous order. Tell Macro's Frontier to give that big guy a hard blow. But be careful not to hit our potential ally. Although Rebel thought the order was a bit ridiculous, he still carried it out firmly. The fight between the Snake King and Queen Vajra must be stopped, because the images captured by the optical camera have already shown that Queen Vajra has fallen into a state of decline. Once the Snake King successfully devours Queen Vajra, the consequences will be disastrous. Understood. The warship that Rebel was riding at this time was the Macro's Frontier. This was Rebel's new flagship and the flagship of the Promise Caller. Under Rebel's order, everyone's seats were turned into upright fixed brackets and entered the transformation program. Macro's Frontier changed from a huge warship composed of several modules to a huge robot more than 1,100 meters high, with a huge cannon in its hand shining with a terrifying cold light. The super heavy quantum reaction cannon was set up, and the purple-black light flashed at the muzzle. Super heavy quantum reaction cannon is charged to 95%, target locked on, Snake King. Can you hit it accurately, Chief Gunner? Rabir smiled and asked the Chief Gunner of Macro's Frontier in a joking tone. Hey, of course no problem. The Chief Gunner who was asked also grinned. He was Rabir's old subordinate. If he didn't have this level, then he was not qualified to ride on this big toy that Rabir loved so much. Okay. Fire. Understood. Super heavy quantum reaction cannon fire. Along with a roar, the finger pulled the trigger, and the shining light of the muzzle finally burst into a roar. The light of the three-color spiral tore the universe apart and hit the body of Snake King straight. The destructive energy wore away the Snake King's biological force field bit by bit, little by little, little by little. Snake King once again let out a piercing scream, which could reach people's souls even in a universe where sound could not be transmitted, bringing needle-like pain. The super heavy quantum reaction cannon hit the target. It failed to penetrate the biological force field of the Snake King. Well, it was expected. This time, no one was shocked. After all, it was a terrifying creature that could survive the radiation of several Genesis. Just one super heavy quantum reaction cannon was definitely not as powerful as several Genesis. But the effect was achieved. Although the super heavy quantum reaction cannon failed to penetrate the biological force field and cause damage to the Snake King, the impact force still existed. The huge impact force caused the Snake King's action and swallowing behavior to stagnate, and it retreated a distance, which gave Queen Vajra a precious opportunity. At this moment, Queen Vajra launched a counterattack and repelled the Snake King repeatedly, turning from a comprehensive decline to a mutual stalemate. All-out attack. With a Dazzle fleet as the spearhead, all ships form a diamond formation and attack the array where the Snake is located. Lelouch followed Rebel's steps and commanded the right-wing fleet to put more pressure on the Snake. Is the stage ready? Rebel asked. We are ready. Ms. Lakis, Ms. Shirley, and Ms. Li Lanhua are in place and can start at any time. Okay, notify them and start. Understood. Yang Hui, who was driving the Dawn Gundam to attack, had been guarding around the Promise and escorting the Promise to retreat to the center of the fleet. At this time, the Promise was not in a good state. The GN force field and pinpoint defense system had failed and were in the restart stage. 3 main guns were lost, and several secondary guns were also lost. There were only 2 Porcupine formation, anti-aircraft Vulcan guns left. The Courage type electromagnetic gun was completely destroyed, and 2 large holes were blown into the outer armor. Fortunately, no one was left in the damaged position, and there were no casualties. Natal, how is the situation? Genesis can still fire 1 shot. This report was to tell Yang Hui that the Promise could only fire 1 shot of Genesis. Unless it went to the repair shop for overhaul, it would not be able to go to the front line again. Graham, have you guys rested well? Yang Hui asked again. Tisk, who do you think you're talking to? Graham cursed angrily. The condition of the Promise was so tragic, and as Miss Pilots, their condition was naturally not very good. Although no one was injured, the high-intensity battle still made them breathless. Everyone was very tired, and the bodies of the machines also suffered varying degrees of damage. Several machines are still being repaired. How long do you need to rest? Yang Hui ignored Graham's stubbornness. His slightly pale face showed that he was very tired. We can attack at any time. Uncle Madonna, how long will it take to repair the machine? 5 minutes. Okay, the MIS units of the Promise will attack in 5 minutes. Understood. XN 5 minutes, an extremely large war, countless lives will fall every minute and every second. Although the battle line is stable, it is impossible to move forward. The three-way melee between the Snake, Vajra and the Promise Corps has caused the fleet to move slowly and maintain a stalemate without defeat. But the reality did not give them the conditions to continue the stalemate. Although they recovered from the disadvantage under the direct attack of the Macross Frontier's main gun, as time went on, Queen Vajra, who is not specialized in combat, fell into crisis again. The shipborne MIS of the Promise has been repaired, and one after another attacked, coming to the side of the Dawn Gundam, preparing to launch a general attack on the Snake King. At this time, the stage behind the fleet lit up with gorgeous lights, and Lakis, Shirley Lu and Li Lanhui stood in the center of the spotlight in beautiful stage costumes. Snap! It was still the familiar whip hitting the ground, announcing the Queen's singing. Listen to me sing. Chapter 940, Fierce Fight, the Queen's Decisive Blow. Gravity inverse proportion volcano fin, the volcano-like shining wings that seem to be anti-gravity, beating heart, it's my beating heart that you know, delusion of the Milky Way, delusion of the Milky Way, if you slip and fall, it will turn into a deadly ocean, Hylian Neon dare to give a bold kiss, traveling hundreds of millions of light years to give a bold kiss, flying over the sky, keep flying over, you're hungry, opening, Shirley's Sagittarius at 9 o'clock in the afternoon, Shirley's fiery, Lux's calmness, Li Lanhui's liveliness, three completely different styles blended together perfectly. Fiery makes people high-spirited, calmness makes people stay rational, and liveliness makes people cheer. The power of singing. And everyone was inspired by the singing of the three people, and the tension and urgency in their hearts were swept away, as if they were not facing a terrible monster, but just an enemy that could be easily dealt with. They maintained the importance of lions fighting rabbits with all their strength, but they did not feel that they were in danger all the time. Not only were their own people affected, but even Vajra was attracted by the singing of the three people. The chaotic attack stagnated, and the pressure on the left fleet was relieved. The Vajra who was just madly attacking the Promised Legion turned around and launched a fierce attack on the Snake of the Body, and the Vajra who blocked the Promised Legion made way. At this time, the Ace MIS troops of the Promise had all been dispatched, led by the Dawn Gundam, heading straight for the Snake King that was trying to devour Queen Vajra. It worked. Kill them now. Understood. XN used the Flag Gundam as the tip of the arrow, and the Gundam ELS, the Angel of the Demon, the Angel of the Death, the Angel of the Hell, the Angel of the Healing, the Eternal Freedom, the Infinite Justice, etc. formed a sharp blade, which cut through the barrier blocking the front without any hindrance. The obstruction of the Snake Egg and the Python became futile. No matter how fierce the attack was, it could not stop the arrow from advancing, and no matter how many there were, it could not make the arrow stop for even a second. Reach the maximum range, disperse. Understood. After XN killed a certain distance, the condensed arrows dispersed, and the Flag Gundam took the lead, turning into a meteor and shuttling back and forth between the Snake Egg and the Python, and the trail was all debris. We can't let him take the cake every time, hallelujah. Mary. Pyrrhus. Understood. X3 Angel Gundam transformed into MIS form urgently, the baffle on its head lowered, 4 pairs of scarlet eyes flashed with terrifying light, dozens of scissor-shaped GN Super Dragoons flashing with cold light flew out from the compartments between its legs, and a line of words flashed in the center of the cockpit screen, Demon Mode, activated. Then, the demonized Angel Gundam followed closely behind the Flag Gundam, dragging a scarlet tail back and forth, leaving countless wreckage wherever it passed. This is the power of super soldiers. Hush, hallelujah really hasn't changed, then I can't relax either, hello. Lyle looked at the Angel Gundam killing everyone, whistled, and his eyes were solemn. Understood. X2 The two hellos puff flapped their big ears, and the compartments on both sides of the hull Angel Gundam split apart. Gun-type GN Super Dragoons flew out from the shield-type GN Super Dragoons, forming a square formation in front of the hull Angel Gundam. Although I can't compare to Yang Hui, but I'll shit when I see you. As the Hell Angel Gundam danced in the universe, the small quantum reaction cannons in both hands were immediately transformed into machine guns. The dense purple-red energy beams fell on the flesh and blood wall in front like raindrops. The invisible biological force field blocked 1, 2, and 3 shots. But it was meaningless. Before the energy of the first shot had time to dissipate, the second shot arrived, and then all the ones behind it arrived. The purple-red light covered the snake eggs, and Python strangled them and swallowed them. It's a new weapon indeed. It's really effective. Although the Angel of Death Gundam is not as gorgeous as the Angel of Demons and the Hell Angel Gundam, Neil's fingers kept pulling the trigger. Every shot and every cannon could accurately harvest a snake of the body. Kira, help Mr. Lyle clear the airspace ahead. Okay. The Eternal Freedom Gundam and the Immortal Justice Gundam came to the sides of the Hell Angel Gundam. The colorful cannons burst at the same time. The missile launch bays mounted on the armor fired all the bullets at the same time. The micro-missiles loaded with MDE warheads bloomed countless black spheres on the surface of the walled city in front, just like the Devourer of the Void, biting out countless holes one by one. Not enough. We can't let them weaken the power of the bombardment. Everyone activate the linkage system. Yang Hui saw that the snake of the body in front of him still survived in large numbers under the fierce attack of everyone, and made a prompt decision. Understood. Connective Yang Hui. XN exception. The linkage system was activated, and the aces in the center of the enemy formation turned into meteors, protecting the Dawn Gundam, Luna Gundam, Ulk Gundam ELS and the Healing Angel Gundam in the center, dragging dozens of afterimages, strangling the surrounding snakes. Almost done. No need for verbal communication, only a thought. The several Gundams in front of the enemy killed the nearest snake, pulled back, joined the two wings to prevent the surrounding snakes from closing. Dawn Gundam merged the two small quantum reaction cannons in its hands together, and several GN Super Dragoons on the wings fell off and combined on the muzzle. The Luna Gundam on the side did the same, and the full moon behind it combined with the ultra-long-range small quantum reaction cannon in its hand, and together with the Dawn Gundam, it flashed a terrifying purple-red light. Boom boom, the two machines fired at the same time, and two thick quantum reaction cannons fell on the center of the Snake King. The biological force field that could not be observed with the naked eye changed from a thick wall to a soft sponge-like depression. It became weaker and weaker as the destructive energy was consumed. The core hidden in the huge body was about to be broken. Aya. Feeling the fatal threat, the body of the Snake King began to wriggle. It did not split directly, but turned from a spherical shape into a regular disc. Scarlet mist floated from the back of the disc and attached to the surface of the wriggling body. Even the invisible biological force field was dyed scarlet and appeared in the side of the naked eye. Break it from me. Yang Hui and Yulin pushed the joystick to the bottom at the same time. The soaring output power made the beam of the quantum reaction cannon thicker, and the speed of destroying the biological force field also increased. Damn it. There's not enough energy. Yang Hui and Yulin looked at the rapidly decreasing energy. Their faces were ashen. They had not expected that Snake King could actually do this to strengthen the defense of the biological force field. The current Dawn Gundam and Luna Gundam, and even the full Ace machine, are equipped with a dual-engine system of the True Solar Furnace and the Jahol Energy Engine. On the basis of semi-permanent energy, there is basically no situation of energy exhaustion, but the high-power small quantum reaction cannon, plus the long-term output of full power, causes the generated energy to not keep up with the speed of consumption. This is the first time Yang Hui has encountered such a crisis. We can continue. Yang Hui and Yulin thought at the same time, and began to reduce the output power of the quantum reaction cannon, slowly ending the continuous bombardment. After all, they knew that this attack could not directly destroy Snake King, and they would need to continue fighting later. The exhaustion of energy would put themselves in a dead end. Tieria, who shared the same thoughts with Yang Hui and Yulin, responded immediately. The huge claws on the shoulders of the Healing Angel Gundam opened, and the quantum reaction cannon in his hand was set up and connected to the connector on the chest. Super Quantum Reaction Cannon, Compression Burst. 3 quantum reaction cannons burst out from the giant claws on the shoulders, and the quantum reaction cannon connected to the chest. The 3 purple-red destructive energies intertwined and merged, converging into a torrent of destruction. At the moment when the bombardment of Dawn Gundam and Luna Gundam dissipated, they immediately fell on the biological force field that had been depleted by more than half. Amid Tieria's roar, The torrent of destruction finally penetrated the biological force field and bombarded the body of Snake King. That's it. Everyone's pupils shrank, because the triple quantum reaction cannon burst of the Healing Angel Gundam did not penetrate the body of Snake King at the first time, but twisted its body again, from a disc to a 3-layer disc. One disc was penetrated, and the second disc blocked it. The thick scales were depleted by more than half, and finally the torrent of destruction lost its brilliance and dissipated in the darkness. Transm Riser. The moment the energy of the quantum reaction cannon disappeared, the huge beam blade slashed into the hideous wound. This time, Setsuna did not think about cutting. He only wanted to penetrate the last layer of the disc and hit the core hidden behind it. Unfortunately, the beam blade successfully penetrated the last layer of the disc, but behind the disc, there was a layer of thick scarlet fog, as if countless corrosive giant mouths were desperately swallowing the beam blade. Damn it! Yang Hui couldn't help but curse when he saw this. Everyone saw this scene and their faces became quite ugly. Such a concentrated firepower breakthrough could not touch the core of the Snake King. At this time, Queen Vajra, who was watching the battle on the side, suddenly moved. Her huge body waved her claws and pierced into the blasted gap at the same time. Zzz. The friction between the claws and the biological force field was like metal, emitting countless sparks. Under the infinite force, the hideous wound was torn open bit by bit, getting bigger and bigger, and finally, Queen Vajra opened her huge mouth and sprayed out shining energy. Boom! The brilliant energy torrent passed through the 3 holes and fell on the scarlet fog, obliterating it and dissipating it. Finally, the core finally showed its figure, welcoming the arrival of the brilliant light. Chapter 941, Courtship Song, First Meeting. Finally caught up. On the left wing of the battlefield, Rusksel was sitting in the cockpit of the machine, sweating profusely. Although the left wing was Vajra's camp, Vajra was not so hostile to the Promise Corps because of the influence of her singing, but Queen Vajra still wore a huge device on her head. It was the main body of the organization to which Grace belonged, the center of the consciousness network. Grace was gone for the time being, but the others were still there, and they still had some control over Queen Vajra. For example, if someone aimed the muzzle at Queen Vajra, they could use Vajra's protective consciousness of the Queen to control Vajra to attack the Promise Corps again. Rusksel also successfully reached his current position under the desperate cover of his teammates. Countless companions opened a channel for him and protected him around, so that he could hit Queen Vajra's crown with one shot, completely destroying the center of the consciousness network, and making Queen Vajra completely free from control. Well done, Russ. You've done a great job. Ft. Romfillo, who was guarding Rusksel, laughed happily. His body was severely damaged. Only his right arm was still holding a weapon. The weapons and armor on his chest were all broken, and he could even see directly into the cockpit. The same was true for Young, Kashima Isama, and others who were in the same team. Their bodies were all broken, and they even lost their propulsion capabilities. They could only wait for rescue from friendly forces. There were also countless companions who protected Rusksel and paved the way for him, and they suffered heavy casualties. In other words, Rusksel completed the most important task in time. If he pulled the trigger a second later, more people would have died, and even his closest teammates would have all been killed. When Rusksel successfully destroyed the consciousness network, he saw heavy Vajra opening its claws to tear Young's body apart, and his whole body was cold. It was not until the singing behind him changed from passion to tenderness and yearning that the heavy Vajra let go of Young's broken body, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I have fulfilled my mission. Rusksel wiped the sweat from his forehead. Then call for friendly forces to rescue us quickly. Our communication systems are all down, and we can only communicate in a small area. Travis Kakulin cursed angrily. Oh, okay. Rusksel immediately contacted the intact friendly forces around to rescue. Although Vajra did not attack them now, the teammates were in a state where they would die if they were touched, so Rusksel had to be careful. But just after sending out the distress signal and before receiving a reply, Vajra, who had left, came back again. In Rusksel's horrified eyes, he gently lifted up the surviving friendly aircraft around him and slowly moved towards the direction of the rear fleet. This is Vajra is helping us. Rusksel was shocked. Although he had experienced the ELS war, it was still difficult to accept the situation where they were enemies of life and death in the last second and helped each other in the next second. Look! Everyone's eyes were drawn to it, Because at the location where Snake King and Queen Vajra were, a brilliant green light burst out. The center of the consciousness network has been destroyed. Seeing that the crown on Queen Vajra's head was gone, Yang Hui knew that the members had succeeded and successfully helped Queen Vajra get rid of all her constraints. Setsuna. With a thought, the cockpits of Dawn Gundam and Uk Gundam ELS dimmed at the same time. Yang Hui and Setsuna entered the transformer state at the same time, with colorful streams of light flowing in their eyes, and red light swept across. Quantum burst system, start. X2 The solar furnaces of Dawn Gundam and Uk Gundam ELS were running at high speed at the same time. The green GN particles were no longer particles, but erupted outward in the form of a torrent. Soon, in the universe, a galaxy belonging to Dawn Gundam and Uk Gundam ELS was constructed. Horizontal ellipsis. What is this? Shirley and Li Lanhua, who were far behind, were so shocked by the sight of the emerald green Milky Way that they stopped singing and forgot their responsibilities. It hurts. Doctor, go to hell. Monster, Vajra is actually helping us. That's the quantum burst system. The commander-in-chief and General Setsuna are communicating. A series of unfamiliar words rang directly in Shirley and Li Lanhua's heads, as noisy as a vegetable market, frightening them to tremble all over. Calm down, Shirley, Lanhua. This is the field of quantum communication, a communication phenomenon that occurs in the field of high concentration, high purity GN particles. Lux held their hands and comforted and encouraged them. Teacher Lux, Shirley, Lanhua, this voice. It's Mr. Yang Hui, Shirley and Li Lanhua exclaimed. It's me. I'm talking to you in the communication field of GN particles. Don't panic. Yes, Yang Hui Mr. Yang Hui. Keep singing, Lakis, Shirley, Lanhua, don't stop, keep singing, just the song you were singing just now. Seize this opportunity to communicate with Queen Vajra. Okay. With Yang Hui's encouragement and instructions, Shirley and Li Lanhua also calmed down, looked at each other, and nodded firmly. Amo nitaru rushnoina miria andaru purodia fatomi koko wa atakanoyumi dio. The melodious and gentle singing sounded again. This time, it was not only transmitted in the universe through fold, nor was it only sounded in the communicator of the human army, but it went straight to the soul in the communication field of the GN particle field. This is singing. A gentle voice sounded in Yang Hui's mind. Are you Queen Vajra? Yang Hui guessed. I am, the Queen. You are, a human? Human, why, do you have a singing voice? Why, can you talk to me? Although in the field of GN particles, all communication is directly transmitted through mental waves, all languages will be directly converted into the language familiar to the receiver, and even through this field, memories can be directly shared, and Vajra can also learn human language at the first time, but Queen Vajra still stumbles when speaking, probably because she is now seriously injured and cannot adapt to human language for a while. The high concentration, high purity GN particle field realizes a large-scale consciousness communication through mental waves. You can see my memory, right? Yang Hui said. The consciousness communication in the GN particle field can directly see the other party's memory. Yang Hui can also see Queen Vajra's memory, but this kind of memory sharing can be manipulated, especially for pure-blooded transformers, who can conceal it to a certain extent, so Yang Hui did not open all his memories to Queen Vajra, including his private life. The Queen of Vajra naturally didn't know this, so her memory, and even the memory of the entire Vajra tribe, were all received. In order to avoid a brain overload of Yang Hui and Shan Na due to the large amount of information, Veda's submachine was used to divert the information from the beginning and upload it to Veda's central database. Communication of consciousness. Humans, thank you for your help, helping me get rid of their control, and the singing, that is the song of courtship. Are there any of my kind among you? As expected of the Queen of Vajra, she adapted to the human language in such a short time and was able to speak fluently. However, Yang Hui was embarrassed, because he knew that the song Amos sung by Li Lanhua was the song that could resonate with Vajra the most, because this was a song written in the Vajra language by Li Lanhua's mother, Laximed, after conducting in-depth research on Vajra. For example, the word Amo means deer in the Vajra language. Yang Hui just wanted to use this song to gain the favor of the Queen of Vajra at the beginning of the communication, and he didn't think about courtship at all. She is a special person. You can browse my memory and know her existence. Is that so? Vajra reread the memory that Yang Hui showed it, and learned about Li Lanhua's existence. She also understood why she sang this courtship song, why she was regarded as Vajra's kind, and your memory, Promise Fortress, you are from the outer universe. Yes, Queen, but we now have a common enemy. 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 As she spoke, the Queen of Vajra began to get angry. The snake of the body, an enemy that also came from the outer universe, brought her endless pain. So, I hope we can reach a reconciliation with the Vajra clan and face this enemy together. Yang Hui said quickly, and hoped that Queen Vajra would not be overwhelmed by anger. Reconciliation, not necessarily, but enemies, together, yes. Queen Vajra gave her own answer. Thank you very much for your understanding, Queen. Then, in the GN particle field of consciousness communication, Yang Hui and Setsuna stood side by side, right next to Queen Vajra, and looked at the huge Snake King, not far away. There is no distinction between friend and foe in the GN particle consciousness communication field. All creatures covered by the consciousness communication field will join this huge consciousness communication, including the snake. Opposite Yang Hui and his team, a huge Snake King was coiled together, and on its head stood a black shadow, erratic, and its shape and appearance were completely invisible. Only the lifeless golden eyes could be seen, looking at Yang Hui and his team as if they were looking at ants. You are hiding your head and showing your tail even when we first met. Who are you? Yang Hui asked in a deep voice. Beep beep beep, zzz, zzz beep beep. He could not see the other party speak, but there was indeed a sound transmitted to Yang Hui's brain. However, what was shocking was that even in the consciousness communication field, he could not know what the other party said, just like a piece of electronic noise, which was irritating. What? Can't you even speak human language? Monster. Beep beep beep, zzz, beep 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 z. Originally, Yang Hui planned to continue to taunt him and then cut off the communication field with Setsuna. He couldn't understand what the other party said anyway, and the other party might not understand what he said either. But in the next second, Yang Hui's expression became extremely ugly, because the other one, sizzle, beep, and beep, sizzle, not qualified, sizzle, boring, sizzle, 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 goodbye. Chapter 942, A Brand New Galaxy? Wait. Ugh. This was the first time that their consciousness communication was forcibly interrupted in the field of high concentration, high purity GN particles. Yang Hui shook his swollen and aching head and focused his attention on the battle that had not yet ended. Queen Vajra also began to retreat after a successful attack and returned to the protection of the Vajra tribe. The snake side fell into a stagnation state because the core of the Snake King was directly hit by the Vajra Queen. Under the command of Lelouch, the right-wing fleet of the Promise Corps seized the stagnation of the snake and launched a fierce attack at all costs. The fierce artillery fire mercilessly slaughtered the snake that had no ability to resist, while the left-wing fleet and the central fleet, under the command of Rebel, abandoned the central and left-wing fronts and moved closer to the right-wing front to form a semi-encirclement. The Promised Legion and Queen Vajra have reached an alliance. With the singing of Lux, Shirley and Li Lanhua, they formed an unparalleled army and launched a joint attack on the snake. Due to the collective stagnation of the snake, they achieved great results in a very short time. If this stagnation can be maintained, they believe that they can wipe out the snake in half an hour at most. At this time, the core of the Snake King can be observed with the naked eye. The light is completely dim, and the smooth surface is covered with cracks. Wisps of scarlet mist are escaping. It does not repair the core, nor does it protect the core, nor does it attach to the body of the Snake King. Instead, it drifts in the universe and dissipates. Although the body of Snake King was still moving, it was very slow. It was obvious that Snake King was on the verge of death, so all machines attack and completely kill Snake King. Everything that happened in the field of consciousness communication should not be told to them at this time. Yang Hui determined that the primary goal was to completely kill Snake King. After all, the information about Snake King was not complete. Maybe it had some special abilities that had not been revealed. Being on the verge of death did not mean it was completely dead. Now this big trouble should be completely eliminated. Understood. XN under the cover of Vajra, Dawn Gundam, led a large group of top aces to bypass the obstruction of Snake and launched a charge towards the broken core of Snake King with full force. But at this time, the change happened again. Aya. Another piercing whistle that went straight to the soul was transmitted to everyone's brain, causing the one-sided battlefield to fall into complete stagnation again. This is it. Struggling to sense the source of the scream, Yang Hui's pupils shrank, and he immediately ordered everyone to retreat. All planes disperse. Retreat. The people who were still tortured by the screams heard Yang Hui's order, gritted their teeth, and operated the planes to retreat with difficulty, without any hesitation, and no one chose to rush forward at this moment. At the moment when the planes dispersed and retreated, a thick torrent of energy swept in front of everyone. The scale was like a super-heavy quantum reaction cannon magnified 3 times, like an eraser. Wherever it passed, whether it was the Vajra of various shapes, or the snake eggs, and python, they all disappeared as if they had never appeared. All ships slowed down. Basalt class, move forward. Reorganize and stabilize the advancing formation. The extremely terrifying energy torrent was not aimed at the fleet of the Promise Caller. The Dawnbreaker and other aircraft that were targeted also retreated in advance under Yang Hui's order and escaped the disaster, but rebels still issued a steady order. The attack just now was too scary. With the energy measurement equipment they had, they could not detect the energy limit of the energy torrent. Even the Veda submachine could not get an answer for a while. If that attack landed on the fleet, the consequences would be disastrous. However, this was only the first threat, and the second huge threat followed closely. This attack was launched from the other side of the Vajra mother planet, which means that the existence that can launch such an attack is not anyone on the battlefield, but a brand new enemy. Could it be? A terrible guess appeared in Yang Hui's mind, and soon, this guess was verified. From the other side of Vajra's home planet, in the direction of the source of the terrifying energy torrent, the head of the Snake King, which had been intact, appeared. At this moment, it was closing its huge mouth, and the remnants of the energy torrent were still dissipating near the huge mouth, and the surrounding space became extremely unstable. Damn it! We finally killed one. How come another one appeared? How did this monster come into being? Why was there no discovery before? According to the intelligence, the first eyewitness report of the Snake King was born in Macros Global on Gallia 4. Could it be? At this moment, the chaotic staff came to a conclusion in the debate. Galaxy. It must be Galaxy. The missing Macros battleship. Yang Hui also thought of the conclusion reached by the general staff. According to the intelligence, Galaxy's group wanted to assist the Serpent to devour Queen Vajra, and then devour the entire universe. It has been almost 15 hours since the Prosm discovered that Vajra and the Serpent had started fighting, but Galaxy, as a collaborator, never showed up. Only the Consciousness Network Center tried to control Queen Vajra. Due to the urgent situation, Yang Hui and his companions did not have time to think about Galaxy's location. They focused all their attention on preventing the Snake King from devouring Queen Vajra and destroying the Consciousness Network Center. After successfully destroying the Consciousness Network Center, rescuing Queen Vajra, and cooperating with Queen Vajra to severely injure the Snake King, Yang Hui and Setsuna started the consciousness communication field and communicated with Queen Vajra. Then they met the figure that they could not see or hear clearly, until now. Everything happened in a flash, and before they had time to completely kill the severely injured Snake King in front of them, the second Snake King appeared. And the missing Galaxy still did not appear. No, it should be said that he appeared, in a brand new form, which was also the form that Yang Hui and his companions least wanted to see. Now no instructions were needed. Many aces led by the Dawn Gundam once again charged at the severely injured Snake King, determined to kill the Snake King before the other Snake King rejoined the battlefield. Light beams, quantum reaction cannons, and MDE bullets rained down on the surface of the damaged core, but what made everyone look gloomy was that their attacks could not directly destroy the broken core. They could only watch the cracks on the core spread at a very slow speed. Damn it! Why is it so hard? Graham cursed after firing all the remaining MDE warheads of the Flag Gundam. Don't talk nonsense. Keep attacking. It's almost completely destroyed. Yang Hui shouted. As their attacks became more and more fierce, the cracks in the broken core began to accelerate. Countless small fragments had already separated from the main body and turned into ashes in the universe. Ding 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 ding. At this time, the alarm sounded in everyone's cockpit at the same time. Looking up, they saw that the newly appeared Snake King had already left the surface of the planet and came to the universe. It was entrenched in the universe, with its head tilted back slightly, and its open mouth was gathering unimaginable scarlet energy. Not good. Retreat. Although only 1/3 of the core was left, they could not hesitate any longer. They retreated in all directions at the fastest speed to escape the bombardment beam of the Snake King. Similarly, behind them, Rebel immediately ordered the fleet to disperse, because according to the calculation of the Veda submachine, the target of the bombardment was the fleet and the 25 fleets behind the fleet. Basalt class, move forward. Multiple defense formations. Fleet disperse. Get away from the beam. The dense fleet began to disperse, and Macro's frontier immediately took the singing platform in front of it and detached upwards. Even the fleets behind began to evade. Boom. The light was shining, the energy was magnificent, and the Scarlet River was surging, splitting the universe in two. Everything was destroyed wherever it flowed. Fortunately, whether it was the fleet or the Mist troops, as well as the Vajra who had been reminded, they all escaped from the torrent of energy in advance and did not suffer any losses. Only the Snake's own troops were annihilated in the energy torrent. Not good. Just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, the Grim Reaper's sickle was once again placed on their necks, because the snake head that was spewing a torrent of energy moved. The scarlet energy torrent that split the universe in two shifted its direction along the swing of the snake head, and the rivers became curtains, forming a sea. In front of the raging sea, even a 10,000-ton ship could only be shattered. Avoid. GN force field and pinpoint defense system are at their maximum. Block. The Basalt class battleship, which could be called a tortoise shell, could only allow the raging waves to swallow it up in front of the sea. It could not stop it even for a second. The multiple defense formations were torn apart in just a moment, exposing the fleet and fleet behind it. The energy torrent swept through the lower body of Macro's frontier, leaving nothing behind. The violent vibration made Shirley and Li Lanhua, who were on the battlefield for the first time, unable to bear the violent vibration and the fear of death. They knelt on the ground with their heads in their hands. Lux hugged the two tightly to prevent them from falling out due to the vibration, and stared at the energy torrent sweeping from below. There were also fleets behind. The bottom of the main island was brushed by the energy torrent. Fortunately, the cities and shelters above were only affected by the shock wave. Only the warehouses and machine rooms in the lower abdomen where there were few people disappeared, but other islands were not so lucky. Except for a few islands that remained intact, half of the islands were distorted due to the violent impact and strong energy, and many islands were directly swallowed up and turned into nothingness. Chapter 943 Tragic Casualties, Rage of Revenge. Report. Report the situation. Because of the violent impact, Rebir also fell to the ground, but he did not dare to delay any longer. He did not even care about his broken forehead and immediately got up to inquire about the situation of the fleet and the group. Yes. We are counting. The other bridge personnel did the same. Regardless of the injuries and pain caused by the collision, they immediately returned to their work positions to determine the losses caused by the bombardment. Macro's frontier's legs are missing. GN force field and pinpoint defense system are ineffective. Restart time, 15 minutes. Mannequin fleet, all, Zuanwu class, frigates are sunk. 5, Zixi class, frigates sank, 3 were severely damaged, 1, Behu class, frigate sank, 2 were moderately damaged, and the flagship, Mannequin, was slightly damaged. The Miss force lost 24%. The stage caused some equipment damage due to the impact. It has been confirmed that Miss Lakis, Miss Sherlilu, and Miss Li Lanhu are safe. Fleet, all, Zuanwu class, frigates are sunk. 7, Zixi class, frigates sank, 2 were moderately damaged, 2, Behu class, frigates were severely damaged, and the flagship, Seoul, was slightly damaged. The Miss force lost 27%. Lamia's fleet, all the Basalt class, frigates were sunk. 6, Zixi class, frigates were sunk, 3 were severely damaged, 1, White Tiger class, frigate was moderately damaged, and the flagship, Archangel, was slightly damaged. The Miss force suffered a 30% loss. Cheyenne fleet, all the Basalt class, frigates were sunk. 2, Zixi class, frigates were sunk, 8 were moderately damaged, 1, White Tiger class, frigate was sunk, and the flagship, Luna, was slightly damaged. The Miss force suffered a 34% loss. Dazru fleet, all the B assault class, frigates were sunk. 7. ZC class, frigates were sunk. 3 were severely damaged. 5 were moderately damaged. 2. White Tiger class, frigates were sunk. 1 was moderately damaged, and the flagship, Valkyrie, was moderately damaged. The MIS force suffered a 41% loss. Orphans fleet. The lower area of the main island has completely disappeared, and the ecological circulation system has been severely damaged. Oxygen has been lost by 30%, and materials have been lost by 78%. The upper urban area has been severely damaged due to the impact, and the loss of personnel is slight. The fleet IGN 7, IGN 8, IGN 9, IGN 10, IGN 11, IGN 12, lost the signal due to energy distortion, and IGN 15, IGN 16, IGN 17, IGN 18, completely disappeared. One report after another entered Rebel's brain from his ears. At this time, his brain was trembling. 1/3 of the Legion members were gone, just because of a bombardment, and they avoided it in advance. The main island of the fleet was not directly hit, and a large number of citizens survived, but the ecosystem was severely damaged, and the materials stored in the lower area were also severely damaged, not to mention that other islands were also horrible. This impact was several times, or even dozens of times, the impact caused by the complete destruction of the First Fleet of the Federation, led by Himbizion, during the Battle of Laum. The members of the Promise Corps are all elites from various worlds. The technologies used by the Corps are all gathered from various worlds, and the elite talents from various worlds have been gathered to research and develop, and integrated together to form a super fleet. And now, 1/3 of them are gone? The members of the Corps are not just subordinates. They are all like-minded companions. All troops attack. At any cost. Destroy that monster. Rebel roared with the anger of his soul. Guilt, unwillingness, anger, and hatred completely erupted at this moment. Commander. We should regroup now. QNM regroup. Rebel cursed with red eyes, and even swore, what's the use of regrouping in the face of such a monster? What if it fires again while we are regrouping? How can we resist its bombardment? This is the burning of anger, and it is also the most rational judgment. The breath of the Snake King is too powerful. Even the assault class frigate cannot delay it for a second. The legs of Macro's frontier disappear just by being submerged by the torrent. This level of bombardment is impossible to resist now. If you are touched, you will die. What's the point of regrouping? It is better to make a concerted effort and let everyone transform the anger and hatred in their hearts into combat power. Kill the Snake King as quickly as possible, and don't give it the opportunity to fire again. Yes, yes. What on earth is this? So much? Fleet, everyone in the fleet. Captain Jeffrey. Got it, please reply. Captain Bobby. Miss Monica. Ruler Catherine. Anyone will do. Hurry up and reply. The Skeleton Squad and Pixie Squad, who were responsible for guarding the stage, had been guarding around the stage. Because they moved with the stage, they all survived, but Macro's quarter was not so lucky. Although Bobby's excellent operation avoided the direct hit of the energy torrent, the distance to the bombardment of Snake King was too close. The distortion caused by the energy dissipation and the huge shock wave almost tore Macro's quarter to pieces. The aircraft carrier module on the right arm that served as a shield was twisted into a ball of dough, and the armed propulsion module on the left leg was directly torn off and disappeared in the torrent of energy. At the same time, the energy distortion and impact force directly caused damage to the entire internal system. If Macro's quarter was not a quarter-class Macro's battleship with good defensive power, and later added a pseudo-solar furnace and GN field, its ending would not be much better than the island that was completely scrapped due to the impact. Skullboy. Zizzy. Pixie Team. Zizzy. Got it. Zizzy. Ozma. The communication was full of electronic noise, but there were also human voices in the middle, and the tone did not sound like that of a seriously injured and weak person, which also made everyone feel relieved. Zizzy. Skullboy. Pixie Team. Zizzy. This is Macro's quarter. Zizzy. Got it, please reply. Got it, please reply. Ozma. This is Skull 1, Casey, are you alright? Ozma asked anxiously. Since Leon Mishima lost power, Ozma and Catherine reunited, and he had confirmed that his sister Lelanho and all the team members were safe. Ozma was most worried about Catherine's safety. Everyone is fine. As the system slowly recovered, the communication became clearer and clearer. Everyone was just shocked, but quarter was severely damaged. It will take some time for the system to fully recover. That's good, as long as everyone is fine. Ozma and others were completely relieved. It didn't matter if the warship was damaged, as long as everyone was alive. The Skull Squad and Pixie Squad are all safe. We protected the stage and avoided the impact together. It's good that you are all fine. What's the situation of the fleet and the fleet? Ozma asked immediately. Very bad. It was not only Rebel whose brain was shaking. Yang Hui, Yulin, Graham, Kira, Aslan, the Dylandi brothers, the four Lelages, Tiria, Flit, SM, Gerhardt, the Spriggan couple in the front. Even in the moment when there was almost no emotional fluctuation, and Cruz, who is the most cunning, their brains were shaking at this moment. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It was not until half a minute passed that they regained the ability to think. Asshole. How dare you? How dare you? Kill you. I must kill you. Seeing the Promised Legion that had lost several pieces in an instant, everyone's eyes turned red. That was the bloodshot called anger and hatred. For the first time, the fire in everyone's heart was completely ignited. Everyone understood a truth. As a soldier, the best destination is to be drunk on the battlefield. They also understood the truth that those who kill will be killed. But, although they understood it, people are not machines and have their own emotions. Seeing so many companions who were still joking and playing with each other yesterday, all disappeared without any trace, the flame called anger still broke out. All troops attack. At all costs. Destroy that monster. At this time, Rebels' orders spread throughout the battlefield through the communication channel. Understood. XN was more determined than ever. At this moment, everyone threw their lives behind their minds, and their minds were filled with only one idea, to kill the monsters of snakes. All the survivors moved, the warship thrusters burst into fierce flames, and they charged at the fastest speed. Artillery, missiles, as long as there were still means of attack, they were fired all at once. The Miz troops were even more crazy, and each team abandoned the means of defense. When the ammunition was exhausted, they used swords, and when the swords were broken, they used fists. As long as the snake appeared in their sight, they had to tear it apart. Let's go to kill that monster. Dozens of top aces, everyone's anger and hatred, shared and superimposed in the linkage system, have reached an unparalleled level. Dawn Gundam, directly put away two small quantum reaction cannons, pulled out the double swords at the waist, and inserted them straight into the gap of the broken core. Even though it was broken, the hardness of the core was still frighteningly high, and the high-frequency vibration entity sword mounted on the fold crystal could not penetrate very deep. The Dawn Gundam immediately abandoned its twin swords and made way. The next second, the fighter-style Flag Gundam rushed over, and transformed into a Miz form just before it hit the core. It stomped its feet on the twin swords of the Dawn Gundam, and the huge force made the twin swords penetrate the core, leaving only the hilts. Break it open. Graham roared, and the Flag Gundam held the hilts with both hands, up and down, and violently cut the core. The next second, the Flag Gundam retreated with its twin swords, and two quantum reaction cannons landed on the inside of the fragments at the same time, gradually grinding away the broken core, and finally turning it into ashes and dissipating in the universe. The target has been eliminated. Yulin and Tiria said with a frosty face, and the Luna Gundam put away its guns, and the GN Super Dragoons formed a full moon behind the Luna Gundam again. The Healing Angel Gundam closed its claws, and the quantum reaction cannon on its chest was disconnected. Next, the Flag Gundam threw the twin swords in its hands to the Dawn Gundam, and then transformed back into a fighter and flew towards the second, Snake King. The Dawn Gundam took the twin swords and put them on its waist as if nothing had happened, picked up the two small quantum reaction cannons again, and followed the footsteps of the Flag Gundam. Then came the Luna Gundam, Gundam ELS, Hell Angel Gundam, Angel of Extinction Gundam, Angel of Demons Gundam, Healing Angel Gundam, Eternal Freedom Gundam, Immortal Justice Gundam. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.